Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 293. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined, as always, by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you doing this week?
Pretty busy but slow week. I got so much done, but the week was slow.
Well, the
Yeah.
weather's um
Oh man.
turning.
After Monday,
Yeah.
it's the best shit ever.
Dude, I had to wear a jacket yesterday to work.
I
Like,
know. I
I didn't
woke up
have to,
today and
but
it,
I decided to. I decided to because it was cool enough, outside.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
woke up, I got in the
yeah.
car and it was 49 degrees for like an hour. I was like,
Yeah,
yes,
man.
it's
Yeah,
here.
dude. Yeah, dude. It's here, man. We're breaking through the barrier of summer here in Texas. So I'm fucking stoked about that. But I'm also excited cuz I'm on vacation, baby, Like
Oh, okay,
it,
nice.
I I'm off tomorrow and then I'm off next week from work, so I'm freed up for a bit and I'm planning to just kind of like chillax for the week. And play some games. I need to catch up on some games. I need to do some stuff around the house, but I'm gonna try my best not to fill the vacation up too much with shit to do. Like I do
Mhm.
just want to chill out and spend a couple days doing nothing for the most part. So but I'm fucking excited because this is like these vacations where I like staycation, where I stay home and don't go anywhere. This is like I don't know if you do this, but I just embrace the degenerate side of myself, and I'll stay up till
Oh yeah.
3 or 4 in the
Mhm.
morning, wake up at 12 or 1 in the afternoon, it's like
I
just
don't I
living.
don't know if your wife does it, but my
Yeah.
wife, she does the same thing, right? But then she'll
Mhm.
turn around and kind of judge me when I do it. I'm like, I need
Yeah, no, she doesn't. We both do it. I mean, like, dude, there's some weekends, some Saturdays, because like I don't sleep. I kind of run really like light on sleep during the week. I probably get 6 hours a night most
Okay.
nights. I would wager because I go to bed around 1 most of the time, and then I wake up at 7:30 or 7:45. To drive to work, and then during the days I'm working from home, I'll wake up at like 8:45 or 8:30, something like that.
Mhm.
So I'm usually getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep those nights. So on Friday into Saturday is where I kind of like I get a shitload of sleep. I just sleep in on Saturday. And man, there's some Saturdays like it's happened the last few weekends. I had to set an alarm last weekend because I was kind of getting tired of this happening every weekend. We're waking up literally at 1, and I went to bed at 1 in the morning. I went to bed at like 1 a.m. and I'm waking up at 1 in the afternoon. It's like I'm getting like 12 hours of sleep. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Like it's too much, like I can't, because when you wake up past 1, the day is fucked. You've really fucked the day up. Like you're not getting a full day out of it because you're probably not you're gonna go to bed around 1 or 2 that night or that next
Yeah.
morning. So you're literally up for 12 or 13 hours. So it's like it just doesn't feel like a full day. So I really try. I like to. I don't like to wake up that late. I want like noon is kind of where I want my barrier to be for the most part.
Mhm.
I'll set an alarm for like 11:30 noon on Saturdays usually, but last couple weeks I've been like letting it go because I've just been really tired after the work week. But yeah, man, nah, this week, vacation, man, there's no limits, baby, no limits. We're doing whatever the fuck. I don't care. Because
Uh,
yeah,
I,
you guys are gonna be going to work. You're gonna get off at like midnight or 12:30, and I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I guess it's time for my World of Warcraft session tonight or something. So yeah, man, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time.
yeah, I'm thinking about after I play all my video games, I'm thinking about in December. I think we get a week off in December actually. So yeah, that
Mm,
week in December,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell my wife not to schedule anything. I don't want to be bothered. Um,
Hmm.
and I am going to that's actually gonna be a new season of League. But I wanted to
True.
grind. I wanted to
Yeah.
grind because Andy like super inspired me just to get back into the grind.
Man, he's
But like
grinding. Yeah.
I'm so like into metaphor, which I'll get into later. That I don't even want to touch any other games right now. So it's like, yeah, I just want to beat metaphor and everything like that. So I'm
Hmm.
probably not going to be on League for a couple weeks, but
Man,
yeah.
see, this is the problem. I gotta get I this is my issue with playing ADC is like I have got to get over this mental block I have about having rando support. Because I really have one. Like I just don't want to play with a rando at the bot in the bot lane. But man, if I'm gonna play ranked and like actually grind and rank up, like I gotta be able to play on my own sometimes when you guys aren't
Yeah.
around. And it's like because especially like this week, you guys are all gonna be at work during the day, and I'm just gonna be chilling at home. And I'm like, maybe I should play some
Well,
League by
I
myself.
just if I don't know if you have any games you want to play, but I think that would be the perfect time to play single player games.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
of
So
course, for sure. Like, dude, I've been just going back and forth on getting Metaphor. I'll hear more when you talk about it
yeah.
here. I'm just not sure I want to play it right now. But I did buy Europa Universalis 4 this past week. It was on sale on Steam. It still is actually, I think, right now. But it was like significantly discounted, so I got like everything that game has to offer for like $40. And that's a game that I've always been interested in, but I played it like 10 years ago when it came, which was actually I think a couple years after it came out, and it just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't that into it. It wasn't like robust enough yet in terms of the features that were in the game, and now the game's kind of at the end of its life and all the expansions are out and there's like a ton of them and shit, so I kind of want to like play that game and figure that game because it's a series that I've always been really interested in. They're like grand strategy games from Paradox Interactive, but they're like really complicated games, but dude, they're right up my alley, dude. Like you basically you have the ability to play the game from any period of time from like 14 something, like 14, I think it's like the early 1400s all the way through like 1830 or something, and there's a timeline in the game. So when you start a new game, you pick the year you want to start, and the map will change based on history of like when like certain countries will be there at certain periods of time, and then they'll be gone. When they were legitimately gone in history or whatever.
Mhm.
So you'll say I want to start at 1500, right? And then you'll be able to select France as it existed in 1500, or whatever, or say maybe Poland or something like that. Poland's gone in and out of existence several times, so there'll be periods where Poland's not available, and then there'll be periods where it is. So you can start the game as any country you want, though, pretty much. And as you get into the colonial era, the North America is actually available as well to play as in the game as well. And you can like expand it to America from Europe, as did happen in real history and stuff. So the game is like really complex. Like you can play in Asia, you can play as like an Indian nation in Asia. I think you can play as like China and stuff. So it's like the game is super robust, and really interesting in that regard. And it's like it's not a game of conquest, right? Like you're not generally speaking like trying to conquer people or anything like that. Like each nation you play as has different goals that it's trying to achieve, and that's how you win the game. Basically, is by achieving those goals. So it's always been a very intriguing game to me. So that was kind of why I bought it. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be on vacation next week. Maybe I'll check this game out. So I might check that out. Warcraft 3 still been sitting in the back of my mind. I actually think I'm going to try to play ladder a little bit on Warcraft 3 and get back into that. Cause I don't know. There's something really like I'm kind of missing that game a little bit. So there's that. Then there's Metaphor. I'm playing Joan d'Arc. There's Turtle Wow that I've gotten back into, and then we're talking about League as well. So there's a lot of games on the plate right now that I could potentially be playing. So I need to figure out what I'm gonna do there. I've also been reading more, getting into reading as well. So there's another book I just finished Jason Schreier's book a couple days ago, so I'm gonna pick up a new book. Um, Probably this coming week as well, and start getting into that as well. So it's like from a content consumption standpoint, man, I am full up right now. I'm like full up, man. I'm full up. Um, so it's exciting, but at the same time, it can be a little overwhelming too. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to figure it all out, right? I'm not gonna play League the whole week. I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do that.
I don't want you to do that either.
No,
That's
no, I want
terrible.
to play something else. I definitely want to play something single player, like Joan d'Arc. I'm probably gonna play that for sure. But I'm just like, is it like, should I get Metaphor? Should I get Black Myth? I don't know. I'm not sure
Well,
what I want to play, or should I? Because like the PlayStation 5 Pro is incoming, and with that's going to come a bunch of enhanced versions of games, and Liza P was
mhm.
one of those. Um, and I'm like, oh man, that game was in my mind too. Maybe I could play that, when that comes out. So it's like I'm kind of juggling what I want to do, with that coming up as well. So there's just a lot of factors at the moment.
Yeah. Uh, I would say, yeah, I don't know. I think just wait, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah.
Uh, because I don't know. Like you said, you got Liza P. You want to play. You got the PlayStation 5 Pro coming out and everything of that nature. So, um, I mean, I'm going to talk about Metaphor in a minute here. So, yeah,
Okay.
but
All right. Well, let's get into the show then. Start talking about games. For those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, Macho. Let's get into what we've been playing. Do you want to start with Metaphor?
yeah, I will. So I have about actually, let me check how many hours I have on my app real quick. I have a couple hours into Metaphor already. Um, 18 hours. I have 18 hours to Metaphor.
Okay.
Uh, I bought the game on Friday of last week. Didn't play the game until Sunday of this past week. So, because I was out of town.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've been playing the game from Sunday all the way till I even got like 45 minutes in today before you text me.
Mm-hmm.
So my general thoughts on the game is if you don't like Persona, you're not going to like this game at all. You have to like when I mean Persona or SM Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
If you like Shin Megami Tensei combat, or if you're okay with it and you're okay with Persona combat, then you're gonna like this game,
Yeah.
regardless. The thing that separates this game from all the other games is the way you can tell that they learned their lesson from Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. I'm only
Mm-hmm.
saying those two because that's their most current game. I don't really count the remake
Mm-hmm.
of Persona 3 as a new game, but I guess I haven't played it, but I don't know if it's like a totally different game from like the original Persona 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm assuming they made it with like, the Persona 5 assets and everything of that nature. So I will count that. So Persona 3 remake as well. And Shin Megami Tensei 5. Um, from what I've heard, people love Shin Megami Tensei 5 as well. Um, I didn't play Shin Megami Tensei 5. I really wanted to play it, but I'm just not a really big Shin Megami Tensei fan.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about pure just turn-based combat and nothing else and staleness, it's Shin Megami Tensei. That should
Yeah.
I'm going like this. If we ever get big in this podcast and people play this episode, they're gonna flame me for this shit. Shin Megami Tensei 2 and 3 on like the PlayStation. I think Shin Megami Tensei 3 was on the PS2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei 3 in particular, because that's the one I play on the PS2, I believe. I think that's the one. I just want to verify. I'm sorry. I don't want to say shit and then get it wrong. Was that on the PS2? Yeah, I was on the PS2. Came out in February.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hated this game. I thought it was the most boring piece of shit game ever, to be honest with you, and
Mhm.
everything of that nature. So that's just my viewpoint of Shin Megami Tensei going forward. And then Shin Megami Tensei 5 took in my opinion, took what Persona 4, 3, 4, or not necessarily 3, but 4 and 5 did, and they made everything around the game way better and more affluent around the combat. And then, the combat is what it is.
Mhm.
That to say, Metaphor is the same shit. Metaphor is the standard Atlas combat that you get. There's nothing different there. That being said, the game moves faster. It moves faster than Persona 5. It moves faster than Persona 4 Remake, Persona 3 Remake, or Persona 4 Golden, rather, and then Persona 4 Remake. It moves faster than all those games, or Persona 3 Remake, in my opinion.
Mm.
The plot picks up and it's immediate. You know what's going on. There, even if there are sugarcoating stuff here and there, you still have an overarching objective and goal of what you're doing as a player. Um, And yeah, you can say Persona 5 was the same way. I just felt like Persona 5, the first 20 hours of that game is fucking awful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The reason why it's so awful is because it handholds you and it limits so much of what it does for you, um,
Yeah.
or what you can do. And then once you get past that point, it's just like, okay, everything's open. And it's like, you didn't kind of like brace me for this. You know what I'm saying? Like it tried to brace you for it.
Yeah.
And so the reason I'm saying that is Metaphor is the almost the it does that same approach, but the step it's streamlined and it's way more user friendly. They really designed this game for people who don't understand what an Atlas game is or a Persona 5 or a Persona game is or whatever the case may
Hmm.
be is. I'm just going to say Atlas. They don't understand what the Atlas games are as far as time management and everything of that nature. They don't put too much on your plate to where you feel like you are getting a lot done. So, for instance, right, the first dungeon in the first mission, the major mission you get 10 days to do what you need to do, which is a lot of days in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
and you can't do multiple things like how you can do. They do the same thing in Persona 5 where you can only do one thing in the daytime, then one thing at nighttime. Until they start opening up the
Okay.
game and you can do multiple things
Yeah.
throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um, but they don't throw like 20 missions in your face. They don't throw 20 things in your face. Uh, and now I could be remembering Persona 5 wrong, but it's just like they don't. I don't know. I wish I could have wrote some stuff down because I was thinking of all this stuff as well. Everything is just outlined perfectly as far as the first
Mhm.
15. I'm 18 hours in, so I'm not at my 20-hour mark yet. But as far as the first 15 hours of the game, the pacing of the game is absolutely magnificent. Not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
Like the story picks up, and I know how Atlas games are, that there's more, even more story, even more story. But the story just immediately picks up, and you're like out the gate, you know, stuff is exploding, and
Yeah.
people need to be saved, and major events are happening and stuff like that. And you're the way they introduce game mechanics as well in the game. They really did learn from the downfalls of like Persona, of the past Persona SMT games. It's actually incredible to see. But I mean, other game companies do this as well. Don't get me wrong. From Software is another one. The Zelda team's a good example of this as well. To where, how do you improve something when everyone thinks, and this is being hyperbolic, but everyone thinks your game is perfect, right? Everyone sucks Persona 5's dick to the core. They think that game's like nothing can touch that game. Um, but I have issues with it. Like it's hard for me to get back into it because I don't care for the high school shit. First of all, so that's another aspect to it, and that's another thing too, right? Um, you build relationships with characters, but there are no romances in this game, and I am actually okay with that. A lot of people were kind of ticked off by that, but I'm okay with that. But it is funny that the one time that your main character is actually 18 that you can't romance anybody. I think that's
It's
funny.
okay. Okay. I don't know why people get so hung up on this stuff though in these like RPGs. Is like the romance thing, I could take it or leave it in a game. I don't care.
Yeah,
Like if it's there, great. I hope the only thing I'll say is that I hope it's done tastefully if it is there.
yeah,
But if it isn't there, okay, I'm not gonna get mad at that either. Like I don't think it's like it's not a feature of a game that sells any video game for me or ever has. It's kind of a weird thing to get stuck on because there's I've never had a romance in an RPG where I come away from it like, oh, I'm a changed man, like or anything like that. It's like okay, I said the things and they like me and we had the sex scene and we're a couple now. Okay, great. It's like it's really not usually a lot deeper than that in most of
yeah,
these games.
yeah. I
Persona
agree.
Persona to be fair doesn't have sex scenes, so because
They don't.
it is
Yeah, because
teenagers.
it is teenagers.
I
Yeah,
actually think they handle the romances fairly well in Persona, given the fact that they're teenagers. Actually,
yeah,
but that's the weird part about it is that it's a bunch of adults playing the game where you're playing a teenager having romances with other teenagers. It's weird.
exactly,
It is weird,
exactly. It is
but
weird.
But still, it's not something I've shied away from though. Like when I played Persona 5, like I kind of embraced that part of the game. I was very much like
Yeah, you're role
trying to
playing. You're
pursue a character in a romance. Like I wanted to romance Makoto or whatever. And I remember though, that was one of my biggest gripes with it. I was so disappointed in that romance that I was like, because she like turned into a different person when you romanced her
mm,
and like became her boyfriend, where she's like acting like this like shy puppy dog when where her character is normally super like brash and like loud and like always trying to take charge and everything, and she like becomes the total opposite when you start like quote unquote going out with her in the game. It really annoyed me. I was like, this isn't like it's not who you wanted to romance, so
yeah,
that annoyed me in the game, I guess. But I see what you mean. Like Persona 5, the thing is with Persona, they're not flawless games, right? They have their issues. And I think one of the biggest ones is just volume of content is one of the biggest problems with Persona. As much as it's like if you embrace the game and you meet it where it is, you can kind of fall into like an ocean of content and you are like satiated for a month straight, playing the
yeah,
game because it's that long. But if you aren't vibing with the entire experience, then I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel like it's a slog where you're kind of stuck in this period of time where like you can't advance the story because you have to get through the days in order to advance the story. And it's like that. So I can understand that perspective of it. And I also do think like that. I don't agree with you necessarily on the beginning of Persona 5. I don't remember feeling like there were pacing issues. I kind of like that the game takes you slow,
hmm
because you're seeing it through the character's eyes. It's not like arbitrary, right? The game's not holding you back because it wants to hold you back. It's like the characters are learning with you, all this stuff, right?
yeah,
So I didn't mind it as much in the game. I think it was done fairly well. It's the problem though is to the point about Persona is that the game is so long though that introductory period is actually 20 hours. It's like
yeah,
that
yeah.
is an insane onboarding timeline in a video game. So
And
um
I'm just thinking about. So I may be completely wrong about this. Um, on average, how long would you say it takes you to get through the first dungeon?
in what, like an RPG?
No, no, no. In Persona 5.
Oh, um, I'd say I put it about 3 hours probably for most of them, maybe four for some of the beefier ones.
Well, like I'm talking about the whole process, like setting up the days, and
Oh,
then
you don't mean just the dungeon. You mean the
just
entire you
I
mean the
mean
entire arc
the
of
entire. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should say that the
oh
entire arc.
shit.
Yeah,
I mean 28.
and I'm just particularly talking about the first one.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
15 hours probably.
Okay, I'm already in my second arc, and that was 10 hours, 10 to 15. I'll say
So it's
10
tighter.
or 5 to 10 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tighter. Okay.
it's tighter. So that's what I mean, right? I like um
Well, hold on. Question for you. So this is something I've been confused about because you're mentioning days and everything. So is this game structured like Persona like that? Like there's a calendar
yes,
and
it is structured
you're
like that.
okay. Okay. Another question. Are you on an adventure or are you in one place?
You are on an adventure. You
Okay,
are
so
literally traveling across the country.
you're traveling. Okay, so the day thing is happening while you're traveling.
Uh,
Or is that part of managing your schedule is that you need to
that's
use some
part
of
of
your time
managing.
to
That's part of
travel?
managing your schedule.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so
That's
for
actually cool though. I like that.
yeah,
Okay. So you need to
yeah.
reach your destination and prepare and do the things you need to do in the 10 days you're given, basically.
Yes. So
Okay.
like if I had 10 days to go to this major dungeon, and then they also gave me a little mini dungeon along the way that's outside the city, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, hey, we can do this. And obviously you can still talk to people to get because you have 5 virtues that you have to get up.
Yeah.
Um and you can talk to people, they level up the virtues and stuff of that nature, standard persona
Yeah.
SMT stuff that you can do. Um so they have that. uh you can I don't want to say lock yourself out of a quest, but you can block yourself from getting a quest if you don't have like your wisdom up or something. So that is free game for everybody. Like I'm not spoiling anything. I recommend off bat getting your wisdom up to level 2, like off bat. But
Mhm.
yeah. So and then you can go to the to the side dungeon, and then like your companion, one of your companions, she will tell you like, hey, um, traveling here will take a day. Like traveling there and then
Mhm.
going into the actual dungeon and coming back will take a day. So if you travel there, your day is not spent, but your day is like dedicated to that day of like traveling and going to the dungeon. And so if you get into the interest of the dungeon and then you try to immediately leave, she's gonna say, well, she's gonna be like, okay, well, we can go back to town, but now it's gonna be at night. So you travel during the day and then you do the dungeon, and then at night you go back to the town, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. Okay.
So and yeah, there are different travel periods and stuff like that. And now sometimes it may take 3 days to get to a dungeon. And you do have camps along the way to get to a dungeon. I haven't encountered that, but I'm just using that as an example. It may take 2 or 3 days to get to a dungeon. And on top of that, there may be certain weather conditions to get to the dungeon or to that will block you from said dungeon. So then you have to kind of factor that into your adventure, because you are traveling over an adventure, like a quote
Mhm.
unquote adventure field.
Yeah.
Even though you don't really physically travel on it, it just shows your character. And then there are certain like events that happen along the way, almost akin to like Dragon Age. That's the thing I can compare it to. Dragon Age 1. Remember
Yeah.
how you travel from one point to the other, and events can happen on your little traveling, like when your dot is traveling to the destination. That can happen as well in Persona.
Yeah.
Um, so or not Persona, I'm sorry, and Metaphor rather, which I actually like. Um, and yeah, I just think there's so many little events and fighting and everything of that nature that happen in between.
Yeah.
Uh, like you go into your first dungeon, and even after you go into your first dungeon, transition to your second dungeon, it's like there's so many little mini dungeons and mini adventures and mini arcs that happen, that you open and close, by the way, that they just really know how to, at least in the first 15 to 20 hours right now. I don't know how it's going to be post 20 hours, y'all, but my first 20-hour experience, it has been like I've been sucked in. And
Mhm.
I'm really invested in the story. Like the story isn't like, oh my god, it's just so great. It's just like
Yeah.
it's politics uh in there, and I like the political stuff of like trying to seize the throne and all this other shit like that. And then you have this overarching narrative as well. And I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna wrap it all back in at the end of the game, because there's a major overarching narrative as well. So it's just like um I like that shit. And I think that's why I gravitate towards it, because I like that political shit like that. I don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but it's just like a lot of medieval fantasy shit, or a
Yeah.
lot of I would say, I don't know if you call it dark fantasy or realistic fantasy.
Mhm.
They do that where they have politics. I mean, The Witcher did it, where you have certain politics and certain factions and stuff like that, or you're talking to people and everything. Obviously, Game of Thrones did it, and like Fire Emblem does it, which is probably why I like some of the Fire Emblem stories a lot as well.
Yeah.
Um, I really do like their approach towards the fantasy thing or whatever. You have different races in here, but like uh, none of them are quote unquote human. Uh, I don't want to spoil that for you. I mean, I'm not spoiling because they literally say it like the first hour of the game what these monsters are. But like yeah, so it's just like I think that aspect is like really cool.
Mhm.
It's not like a huge like game changer, but I just think it's really cool what they decided to do with humans in this world, um and everything of that nature.
Okay.
Um Yeah, they kind of just flipped a lot of they flipped some, not a lot, but some elements on his head. I mean, your character is something called an Elder, who looks like will be a traditional human, like they plain Jane, just a regular ass human. Everyone else though, like they hate the Elder, or they don't hate the Elder, but they're like, I haven't seen your kind in forever. Ugh,
Yeah.
fucking Elders, like you know.
Yeah.
And then you have like these, like all of them are humanoid creatures, but like they may have small features that separate themselves. Where one's called the Grimoire, where they have like they have two horns come out the side of their head or whatever. And then
Hmm.
you got these other people, I forgot their names, where they have like wings on the back of their on their back or whatever. And then other ones they're born with like different colors skin, like maybe they're blue, green, or purple or orange or something like that, but they can grow to be really old. Like their adolescence is like actually super short, but then their adulthood is kind of like their middle age is kind of like stagnant, and then their old age is really stagnant as well. So they can live, they the oldest living people on in that universe, but it's not like they stay 20 the year 20 for 400 years or something like that. It's like it's actually like very fucking short how long
Yeah.
they stay young,
Yeah.
and everything of that nature. So I do like the the it's surface level, like racism type stuff and everything of that nature in the medieval fantasy. They call people like knife ears and fucking grimoires and and everything like that. Like standard like medieval racism shit or whatever that they're exploring and everything of that nature. Nothing too big there, but yeah, I think it is one of those things where it's just like you said. I wasn't really invested in the Persona storyline. I thought the first two dungeons were like really good. And then they just started to get like not preachy, but just like I'm like, all right, bro, I don't care. I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's been abused here, and it's like, oh, we gotta stop him again, like, cause they're being abused. Like, they didn't really
Yeah.
like, at least in my opinion. By the time I got to who's the girl with the mask? I think she had a sword. She had the bowl cut. I forgot her name. It starts with the M, I believe.
Makoto? You talking about Makoto?
Makoto. Yeah, by the time I got to Makoto, we were about to recruit Makoto. I was kind of like done with the game. I'm like, I don't really fucking care about this game anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this game's kind of doing the same shit. Not the same shit as like that, but it's like it's preaching another. They're like, oh, we want. My dream is for all the races to be together, and well, they are together, but like, there's no there's just no racism or whatever. There's no one hating each other, and we don't care what tribe we come from. We're all born equals. Like it's like that surface level shit, but there are like undertones of other stuff that I actually like with it as well. I don't know. I just think the game is like really designed as far as plot wise. I think it's really, and I understand your point about Persona 5, like they're learning too. These characters are learning too, but they do it at such a faster pace where it's like, it doesn't insult my time, man. Like, just
Yeah.
let's just go. Like, let's go. Like, and they're not insulting my time with it. They're just like, all right, now we're going to introduce this other game mechanic with you. Now you have the mechanic, use it. And it's like, cool. That's what I like that's what I like to hear, and that's what I like to see, or whatever. So, I don't know. I just really appreciate how it's appreciating my time. I can legitimately play this game, and that's why I've been playing it during the week instead of on the weekend, because I can legitimately play this game for 5 hours and feel like I accomplished a lot of stuff in that five
Yeah.
hours or whatever the case. So, and like I said, that may just be the first 20 hours. It may change after that 20 hours, but like my first week of playing the game, it's just been like a phenomenal run. I mean, like I said, standard Persona Atlas Combat or whatever. They may have changed some stuff here and there, uh, but yeah, I mean, I like it a lot. Even the down to like your powers and stuff like that. They're not personas. They're archetypes, but I mean, they're fucking personas. But
Yeah.
you don't collect them like Pokemon, if that makes any sense. You unlock them through bonds and having different bonds with people and everything like that. So, um, it seems to be the main theme of a lot of video games this year. Maybe they want us to actually talk to people. That's what they're trying to say. Go out and touch grass, y'all. But yeah, I if you want to play that, if you want, I will be interested in seeing if when you play it, how you feel about it, because you actually beat Persona 5,
Yeah.
compared to like me, who I got through like half the game and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like I don't want to play it no more. Don't get me wrong, I love Persona 5.
Man, you were missing out, dude. If you only got to the Makoto, that's like the third dungeon. It's like you're not
Yeah, yeah,
dude. You hadn't met. Like the thing is, the reason Persona is so satisfying is this is where you use time in an effective way. In a story where you build characters up, right? Like you get to know them. You like really get to know these characters. Like you know their ins and outs. You understand their quirks. You know their flaws. You know their strengths. You know their like their preferences and things like that. Like you get to know them at such a deep level. So when revelations start happening, like it's like, oh fuck, like this is really established. These things are really established and make sense. When certain things happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's the strength of Persona to me, is that the characters are built up in a very deep way. Whereas a lot of video game stories do not do that, where they will center on one character and then they will have another character do something that isn't like foreshadowed in any real way. It's like it's just out of nowhere. It feels like it's out of left field. The setup isn't good. So that's the thing. Like I feel like if you could just get through it, man, the final like third of Persona is insane. Of Persona 5 is crazy, dude. Like it's fucking nutty. And I love it. I love it for that. So um I don't know. You were still in the build up phase, I would say, of the story for sure.
Yeah, you know what? After playing this game, I'm like, maybe I should go back and give Persona 5 another shot, um, which I think I am going to do. Uh,
Yeah,
Probably one day
worth it,
this year and next year.
dude. It's worth it.
But I am interested in seeing how you would feel about Metaphor. I know you're bigger into like the fantasy stuff.
Yep.
You've been longer into it more than I have.
Yep.
Like I said, it's not anything groundbreaking. This isn't the next Lord of the Rings. This isn't the next Game of Thrones. But I think it's it's very like surface level shit, and it's very cool. And the voice acting that I'm playing in English, by the way, and the voice acting is phenomenal. Like that's one thing I would say about Persona games. I never thought the voice acting was great, but in this game, I mean, I thought the voice acting was always great. I'm sorry, y'all. I thought the voice acting was always great,
Mhm.
but in this game, they're like taking that shit to the next level. Like this shit is really fucking good. And they
Yeah.
all have some people have the European accents and stuff like that as well. And then some people have like a regular American accents as well. So yeah, I just think it's a really cool game, a really cool universe to be in. Um, and yeah, I like it so far. I can see why people gravitate towards this game. What it reminded me of? I'm not gonna because you have a fairy that's walking with you as well,
Yeah.
and the way the game kind of like plays itself, it's like a Zelda game. Like
Yeah.
it kind of structures itself almost as a Zelda game, in my opinion. But like, obviously Atlas made the game,
Does
so
the fairy
uh,
scream at you? Hey, listen.
yeah, no joke.
That's crazy.
Not hey listen, but like
Something
their
like
own
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah some yeah. So
It's awesome.
yeah, I think the game is like really fucking cool. Actually, I think that's probably another reason why I'm playing it so much because I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like this world feels fucking familiar, and it's like it's not because it's a medieval game, and I know it. I'm like this is like a more political Zelda, like in my opinion, that's what it feels like.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's metaphor for me. And then obviously I've been playing a little bit of Wulong. I've played like an hour or two of Wulong and then I go and play metaphor. Nothing more to say about that. And then we're gonna talk about League like a little bit later here. But what about you?
Yeah, so I've been playing more Joan d'Arc. I'm in chapter 3 of the game, and I haven't made a ton of progress. I probably only beat like, I don't know, 4 or 5 battles since last week. But well, the reason is because I had mentioned this last week, is this turn timer is starting to piss me off with this game, dude. I was doing a mission the other day, and dude, it was like late in the night. It was the last one I was going to be able to do before I could go to bed, before I had to go to bed. And man, it had a 12 turn timer, and you were surrounded inside of a fort basically, and there were a ton of enemies outside the fort that were coming in, and then there were enemies on the inside that you were surrounded by initially that you had to fight. And there was a boss who you had to kill inside the fort with you, but he wasn't close. He was like far away, and he's like a ranged mage caster character with like really high avoidance. Like so he was hard to hit. So I do this mission, right, and I'm doing it, and I kill every enemy in this fucking battle, dude. Like there's like a bottleneck you're next to at the beginning, and I kind of leverage that to like put myself in a defensive position and
Mhm.
just kind of slowly whittled the enemies down. And then the boss is hitting me from range. He's healing some of his allies. But then when I get to the point where most of the enemies are dead and I'm like chasing him down, dude, he just runs away from me for like 4 turns in a row. And on the last turn, I kind of corner him in the corner of the corner of the map, like way away from my starting position. Corner him in the top of the map, and dude, when I tell you, Montrell, he had 2 HP left. I'm not fucking lying. He had 2 HP left, and the fucking turn ends, and the game is over, and I had to do the whole fucking battle again. You know how fucking pissed I
Oh
was? I
no.
was so pissed. I hate turn timers. They're so arbitrary. 2 HP. You're gonna tell me I lost this battle because of 2 fucking HP? I have this motherfucker surrounded against the wall. Where the fuck was he going? Where was he gonna go? It's bullshit. It's just arbitrary bullshit. I hate turn timers and tactical RPGs. Fucking pisses me off. So this game's annoying me because of that. Because I'm enjoying the game though. It's like I like the game. I'm having fun with the game. It's not, like I said, it's not deep. It's pretty straightforward. Building your party's not like anything super complicated. You kind of pick out the guys you like and you just use those. You know, it's like it's not super complex. So that's how I'm playing it. But yeah, man, these term timers can go to fucking hell because some of the missions are ridiculous. Where like they'll give you like a 9 turn timer, which is really short, or then they'll give you like I did a mission. The mission before the one I just mentioned was this one in a giant open field. It was huge. The map was really big, and it gave me 20 turns to do it. And dude, this mission, like I'm like doing it, and there's only a few enemies to start, maybe like 7 or 8 on the map, and they are coming towards you. They don't wait for you to reach them. They come towards you, and you meet them. And then throughout that battle, there's 2 groups of reinforcements that show up, and they also walk towards you immediately. But so does the boss. He walks towards you as well. So, and the goal is to kill the boss. Like, you don't need to kill all the rest of the enemies. So, like this mission, I think I beat that mission in 8 turns or something, and they gave me 20. It's like, what the fuck are you? What? And then you give me 12, and you have this boss running away like a motherfucker. It's fucking, it's annoying as shit. So, um, the game's story is completely like silly too. It's fine. It's whatever. It's cute. It's like an anime take on Joan d'Arc. Like the enemies can summon demons and shit and blah blah blah. But they had this enemy that you fought for like 7 battles in a row. Like he was the boss for like 7 battles in a row, and it was like silly. It's like, how does he keep getting away? They don't ever show him actually getting away from me. Like I kill him in every battle, you know. But
Mhm.
then you get to the next map and he's alive again and he's the boss of the battle again. And then at the beginning of chapter 3, he shows up and he's like, man, I failed so many times. They got rid of me, but I can't, like, I want you to kill me, Joan. You know, he's like obsessed with her. And then the new bad guys for this chapter show up and they fucking murder the guy. I don't even get to kill him. Like, what? It's fucking annoying. It's just, the story is silly. It's whatever. So, but the game's still fun. I think it's still worth it, especially if you can find it on sale at some point in the future. This will be a great game for $10. You know, that's worth the time for sure. Outside of that, I've been playing Turtle WoW some more. I got to level 47. I think I'm 47 and a half right now on the hunter. I did a dungeon over the weekend as well, which was pretty cool. It was one that was exclusive to Turtle WoW. It's one that they made. It was called Gilnia City, which is one of the major cities in Azeroth, which was a really cool dungeon. There was some difficulty in it too. It wasn't super easy. It did take some pretty good coordination from the group I was in, so that was cool. But the thing is, Brian actually dropped this last night in the Discord. I didn't notice this. Is that they're doing a major patch on the server, and dude, they are doing like massive class changes to all the classes, and this is like hugely controversial on this server because this is, they called the server a classic plus server basically, so it's classic but they're going to do enhancements to it. But this is kind of going beyond classic plus, where they are like fundamentally changing a lot of classes and the way they work, abilities they have. They're changing all the talent trees, pretty much for every single class in the game. And a lot of people aren't excited about it, which I can understand. If you're a purist and you want that pure classic experience, like this is going to throw that out the window. You're not going to have that anymore. For me, somebody who played classic back when it was out and played classic when Blizzard did it in 2020, or 2019, whenever that was. I've played classic enough times at this point where I'm kind of over it, you know. I'm like, yeah, give me something new, you know. Like, so I'm kind of actually all for this, and I'm pretty excited about it. To be honest with you, so that's coming this month. I don't know when; they haven't given a date yet, but I would assume within the next week or two. So, that's going to be huge. It's going to make new specs for Hunter, actually, that are, or not new specs, but change the way the specs work for Hunter, where like marksmanship is going to be your long range spec. Survival is going to be your melee spec, where you'll be able to be a melee hunter, which has never been a thing, or at least hasn't been a thing. Wasn't a thing in Classic and was not a thing in World of Warcraft proper for a very long time. Like I don't think that was a thing until like fucking Legion, honestly, from what I know. But and then Beast Mastery is going to be your pet focus damage build. So there's going to be 3 different builds, and they all sound really fun and viable to me.
Mhm.
To the point that I almost want to make another hunter and like level as one of the other specs when they do these changes. I'll probably do that in the future at some point. So to say that there's a lot of cool stuff going on in the server, that I'm excited about. I'm having a good time with it. I'm not, I'm not playing it every day necessarily, but I am playing it pretty consistently. So, and then I mentioned I was reading Jason Schreier's new book, Play Nice: The Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard Entertainment last week. I have finished this book over the last week, and there's definitely some stuff in here that's very interesting. I'm actually thinking of making a video on it, because there's just a lot of cool stuff in here. I will say that the book is not as, a lot of the stuff I'd say is like kind of known already. Like Jason kind of confirmed some things that we suspected, but also there's some new revelations as well in here.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I took away from the book, though, was that Activision's influence was not as strong as people thought earlier in their relationship. So you remember the real money auction house from Diablo 3, right? And then
Yeah.
the StarCraft 2 being split into 3 games.
Yeah.
That had always been assumed that that was a Activision mandate that came down for them to make money, and that is not true. Blizzard came up with both of those things on their own. And I kind of always suspected that, to be honest with you, because no one ever blamed Activision, like past employees never said, "Oh, Activision made us do that." That never came out. So I kind of always suspected that, and to have confirmation of that kind of confirms to me that like Blizzard, the book kind of makes it clear that World of Warcraft's success significantly changed the way the company operated in the mid 2000s, and
Wait,
that probably shouldn't be a
say that one
surprise.
more time. You
Uh,
said
Sorry,
what
that
made them change it? I'm sorry.
World of Warcraft's success.
Okay, okay. Okay, gotcha.
So the game exploding the way it did, where they had millions of subscribers and all of a sudden they're rolling in fucking money, to the level that they were. That changed the way Blizzard operated in a significant way, where making money became kind of one of their key metrics, I guess. Obviously that makes sense for a company, but that wasn't really how they operated up to that point. They just wanted to make games, and they were kind of hoping they were successful, right? And that
Mhm.
worked for 10 years. And then when World of Warcraft came out, it became, oh shit, like we can make money, like really make money. So that started to permeate through Blizzard's leadership specifically, and led to the decisions like splitting StarCraft 2 into 3 games, specifically led to the real money auction house for Diablo 3. But the things about those, though, is that the reason StarCraft was split into 3 games, the book doesn't say it was for money, which it doesn't sound like it was. It was because the scope of the campaigns was too large. They wanted to make these giant, huge 30 mission campaigns for each race, and they just couldn't feasibly fit that into one game, which is why they split it into 3 ultimately. And probably not the greatest decision in retrospect, but that was the reason they made it at the time. And then the auction house, which Blizzard said this back in the day, but the book kind of reiterates this, is that They made the real money auction house in order to combat the third party sellers of items and stuff, like the black market that had formed on Diablo 2. That was a huge problem. So that was the main reason they made it, but they did not anticipate the issues it would cause for the game, which I find that really weird that that happened. It just sounds like this wasn't, it was kind of siloed. Like the development of the auction house was kind of separate from the development of the rest of the game, is what it sounds like. Because dude, if you play a loot driven RPG where drops are super important and you put a mechanism in the game where you can go get the best piece of gear imaginable for a price at any time that you want, especially if you can use your credit card to do that, by the way, um, that would undermine the game's core design of killing monsters to find loot, where it becomes more of a game about killing monsters to find loot that you can sell in the auction house. And then if you need gear, you can go in the auction house and buy it. So that was, it just seems like a huge oversight that they never really thought about it deeply enough to come to that conclusion. But I guess it's easy to say from retrospect, of course, obviously, but it's just like, I don't know. It's the thing is, Diablo 3 was not made by the people who made Diablos 1 and 2. I think there's a quote in here from Brevik actually about that or something like that. He would not have put the real auction house in the game for sure if he had been at the studio making that game at that period of time. And there was a controversy with him, if you remember, where he like talked shit about Diablo 3 and the dev team and stuff, and said the game, something about the game like sucked. And then Jay Wilson, if you remember, the director of the game, like said fuck that guy on Facebook or something like that, which was like infamous back in the day. So yeah, it just was a poor decision that really hurt that game a lot. So but even further in the book, it Activision didn't really start infiltrating the company until the mid 2010s is what it really sounded like, which is after they gained their independence from Vivendi, and they became Activision Blizzard and owned themselves again and had full autonomy again. That's the point where Kotick started trying to put his own executives that he picked into Blizzard, and it started to work at a certain point. It started to kind of chip away at Blizzard over time, but it's kind of clear to me reading the book though that the impetus for Blizzard's kind of quote fall, that we would call it, is really not Activision. Activision kind of just accelerated it once they kind of became involved together. It was really, it sounds like World of Warcraft was kind of the beginning of the end. World of Warcraft's success just kind of changed the company in fundamental ways, and they became very much about money, making money, and having their games make money, and which is okay to a degree, right? We're going to talk about League in a few in a similar light, but Blizzard just became too overt about it at a certain point, and it kind of ruined their games, for me specifically. So, but later on, like later into the book, there was some stuff about the survival game that he did confirm that did get canceled by Microsoft when Microsoft came in. There was the StarCraft shooter that was canceled. There's actually apparently another StarCraft shooter that's now in development. I think we had talked about that on the show recently, but so that got confirmed as well. But I don't know. There's other things in here. Unfortunately didn't have time to like write all this stuff down. Otherwise I would have. I don't want to go through it all though. I think it's better for people to read the book themselves and get their own takeaways. It's definitely worth the read if you're into Blizzard and interested in their history. The most interesting part of the book for me was probably the beginning, the first third, where he talks about their creation of the company and their kind of early years. Dude, they made games so fast. It's fucking insane. Like StarCraft 1 got made in like 10 months or something like that. Warcraft 2 was made in a similar time frame. Warcraft 1 was made in like 8 months or something. Like it's fucking insanity, dude. How quickly they were pumping out hits, great games. So definitely worth the read for sure. But Macho, are you still planning on reading this or
Yeah, I am. I
Okay.
got it on my one of my Audible lists.
Nice,
I bought
nice,
the
nice, nice.
book.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you think when you start going through it. And then yeah, League. We've both been playing League. Not a lot, not a ton, but there is some stuff to talk about with League. So, is there anything about in terms of playing the game you want to talk about? I did put the patch preview in here. There's some few notable things with this next patch coming up. It sounds like they're taking the axe to AP characters. Um, they're considering them a problem right now. So
Uh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know, man. I haven't been playing the game. I haven't played the game for about a week, to be honest with you. When
yeah.
was the last time we played?
Well, you played on Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, that was the last time I played it.
Yeah.
Um, I, I mean, I'm glad they're going to AP characters, but I'm looking at when I looked at I've actually been following like the patch notes for the past week. The people that are getting nerfed, in my opinion, aren't a big deal anymore.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I'm just gonna. I don't know if you want to go through the whole thing, but
No, we
like
don't have to
there's
go
a
through the whole thing. Just
yeah.
pick
So
out what you want to talk about.
these are my notables. I think like obviously brand has been a problem. So
Yeah.
I I mean this is why I feel like Reddit is one of the worst places to go for league stuff. Um, even though unironically Reddit was like on Brand's ass about how bad he was, right? Um, it's just other stuff too. That there, but yeah, Brand has been a menace for the past year, like no
Yeah.
fucking joke.
Yeah.
And now he's finally getting one of the nerfs that he deserves. I still think his E is too crazy, but they're nerfing like the passive damage and all that other stuff like that, which is a big part of his kit. They're not nerfing his knee, but they're nerfing like the max self damage that it does and everything
Yeah.
of that nature. His base regen. I think this is a really good nerf for him. It's going to make him be more conscientious of how he uses his abilities, especially
Not
his Q.
spamming as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think he just I think he just had way too much mana or mana regen or something of that nature. I know the biggest thing for him is like his immobility, but the simple fact that I mean we saw with one of our friends that he can just launch an ability and then walk away and you just die for no fucking reason is so crazy to me. Like I
Yeah.
just don't I just think that's the most uninteractive thing. And I was watching Freaks talk about him, and he is like plus 51 or 50, either 51 or 52 win percent in jungle, support, and mid lane.
Wow.
And to me, that's or either it's mid lane or ADC, one of those. And I just think that's fucking insane for a champion. Like,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, like I don't know, like Varus got like a 2% fucking on hit buff, and like he's like the biggest threat to Summoner's Rift, and it's like this guy.
Oh, bro, hold on. I have to talk. I have to say something to that because yeah, Brand is the motherfucker that can consistently just murder people, and like Varus has to like very specifically line up a combo in order to kill anybody. You know, especially early in the game. So it's like, and yeah, Varus is at like a 46% win rate. Like he's fucking ass, dude. You know, and it's like they're just like, well, the pros are playing him though. Nerf him, kill him.
Yeah, it is like it's just so weird to me. I don't know. They did, in my opinion, they did the same thing with Silas. Even he was at a steady 50% win rate. Like he wasn't overpowered or under powered. He had very bad matchups. He had very good matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they completely changed him. Even though I think he's good again, because I'm starting to learn his builds and everything like that. Yeah, I just didn't like what they did to him. But meanwhile, we have Brand, literally a Summoner's Rift terrorist, blowing up people from half screen away when they walk away. And he's like one of the most uninteractive characters in the game, in my opinion. One of
Yeah.
them. Not the most interactive character, but I believe that still falls on like Heimerdinger. Like you just can't touch your lane reads in the game anymore.
Yeah.
But
Or
yeah,
Timo.
or yeah, Timo. But yeah, I think that one was warranted. I think the Aurelian Soul nerfs were warranted. I mean, he's barely a champion anymore anyway, but fuck him. The
Camille's
least
getting
would
gutted, bro.
Yeah, bro. I didn't even know she was this powerful. Like, apparently, she's a
Yeah,
fucking menace in top elo and high elo.
yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen anybody talk bad about her though. Until this nerf came out, and then everybody at the woodworks was like, we can come up now. Hitler's dead. Like, it was. I was like,
Oh
wow, I didn't know she
man,
was.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't know she was that bad. I mean, I don't play top lane, but like, when I do play, I play Camille or whatever. I didn't feel like she was overpowered, but I guess she was. Um, Elise was a sleeper one though. I do know the couple of times I went against Elise like solo when I was playing jungle, or she was just like on the other team and I was mid lane, she was like very oppressive.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Fiddlesticks has always been a fucking sleeper pick. He's always been overpowered in the jungle and in the
Yeah.
support lane. And then some people take a mid lane, and I just think he's just been like fucking crazy. Way has been another one. When I started playing back mid lane at the beginning of this split, I was blocking Way because I was like, maybe I'm just trash, but this guy is fucking crazy. I'm like, he does a lot of shit. Um, and they're nerfing the shit that I had issues with, which was his Q and his E.
Yeah.
I like he had no downtime. I was just like, bro, when is there a downtime for him? Like, what the fuck? And they're actually like nerfing that, which is very good. Um, Obviously, I knew they were gonna ban or nerf Kai'Sa's fucking her AP builds. I mean, she's just.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go bot lane, bro, I never go negative with her when I go bot lane and I'm playing like with Jet or whatever. I never go negative. She's really good. Um, they said they were nerfing the volley bear, but all they did was take his cooldown down. But I heard they were going to do some more stuff to him. I haven't seen the volley bear build be played as much recently. Like after this split, when the beginning of this split happened, he kind of fell out of popularity top lane. But you remember before that, before
He
the
was a
split,
terror, dude. He was
he was
unkillable. It's weird. I don't understand like what changed though. It's like his abilities didn't change or anything, but he does seem less effective
I
right
think it's
now.
the change they
The
did to the Vori
items.
blades. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Vori quick blades, I believe they changed that. Whatever they change they did, fucking gutted them, and I'm thankful for that because yeah, there are
Yeah.
certain games like we had a friend who just dropped everybody and started playing Volibear, and he was winning. He went like 10 games
Yeah,
straight, just
he's
won the
just
game.
winning every game. Yeah. Well, there was a game he was like 1-8, and he was like 1v4ing the enemy team by Baron or something. And it was like, what is going on here? What is up with this champion, dude?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
um, and so the one change I don't understand that they say is a nerf is Yorick. Yeah, I know you got some things to say. It's actually two of them I want to talk about, which is Yone and Yorick. Yone has been a menace on the Rift for a fucking long
Yeah.
time. Uh, they're nerfing Bork, so he's going to be down just because of that. And they're nerfing his W, which honestly I had the biggest issue with, was his W. I didn't really care about anything else. It was just his fucking W. And then nerfing it, thank God. But they're not doing a huge nerf to it, but they are nerfing it. But yeah, Yorick though, my friend, it's like, man, he's not a problem past platinum. Like, but that's the problem, bro. I'm not platinum yet, bro. And every time I have a top laner go against Yorick, they fucking lose because he's just such a major menace. And it's not even Yorick; it's his fucking minions that are just doing so much fucking damage. Who are like
Yorick
really dead.
sucks, dude. If he doesn't have his minions, he's a bitch, you know?
Exactly.
But it's just the dude that okay, so it's a 5% damage loss at all points. It sounds like for his
Yeah.
minions, which is actually not insignificant when you add it up. Like, I mean, because you're multiplying that by like 5, right? So it's a lot of damage that he's losing. Like, let's say he's losing 20 damage per minion later in the game. I mean, that's like 100 damage. You know, it's not insignificant. But I don't know. It's just I just
I
I
love this
have a lot of
champion, bro.
I have a lot of problems with top lane because we don't play it. None of us really play it, and I'm just so tired of people who like randos who also don't know how to play it, but they're playing it, you know, and they can't. They just, for the life of them, they can't handle the Yorick, bro. Like I don't think I've been in a game where Yorick's in the game on the enemy team and the laner who's against him does anything. Like they just get wrecked. He's hitting inhib by 20 minutes. It's like fucking this fucking nonsense, dude. I'm like, man, like, and I'm playing bot lane, so like, what? Unfortunately, what am I supposed to do in that situation? I can't roam up there very often and help, So it's like the jungler, the mid laner, and maybe even the support. A lot of the time, sometimes I have to go up there, unless I like took teleport or something. I guess I could help a little bit, but it's like, it's hard to roam top lane early in the game as a bot. Even the support, it's really, you're not going to do it a whole lot, unless you fountain and go straight there or something. And so it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm just tired of seeing him. I'm just really tired of seeing him because his gameplay loop is boring as fuck. It's dodge the Q. Okay, if you dodge the Q, you go fight him. It's like, it's as simple as that. If you don't dodge the Q, you run away, you lose 75% of your health, and then
literally,
it's over.
not even
you lost the fight already. Like it's literally that. And if you get caught in his fucking his little arena thing, well, you're probably dead because hopefully if he was smart, he didn't queue you, before that. So you're a sitting duck for the queue and you can't dodge it anymore. So it's like it's kind of as simple as that. The champion's not very interesting. It's just not an interesting play pattern. And I mean, to that point, that's probably why in higher elo he's not very effective, right? Because he's so like if you dodge the Q, he doesn't have anything else to do. Like you just go fight it, you just go kill him at that point. Like and certain characters, like I remember when I played Set against Yorick, and this was early on when I was learning top. I remember I would just go fight him, or if I would let him hit me with the arena and he would walk up to me and I would fucking beat his ass, because I'm Set and I'm like, bro, I want you to fight me. Oh, your minions are hitting me? Great. W in the face, motherfucker. You lose all your HP. It's like, certain characters can kind of handle him a little bit, but I mean, that was probably a bad Yorick though. He shouldn't have been in my face as Set, when I'm in the arena. Like, just let your minions do the damage.
Take. I think all Yorick players are bad. That's just my hot take.
Yeah.
Like the Mordekaiser that was in our game, right? He's a clear counter. Mordekaiser is a clear counter to Yorick. He takes, all you have to do is fight him. You don't even have to dodge his Q, because once he Qs you, he comes to kill you, arm him, and then you're in his arena.
Right.
Like, you just beat his ass. Like, you can't. Yeah. He can't do anything to you.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to cut you off, but yeah.
No, you're good. So it's just, I don't know. I'm just tired of seeing him. He feels like like one of those low elo terrorists, characters that is just, it's just annoying because I don't know. I don't like characters like that, I guess. Because I just don't think there's a lot of skill involved,
Well, this is how I feel about as well. If you go into the buffs, right? I don't really care about none of the buffs. I think all of them are kind of warranted in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Kiana has been bad for a while. Sivir is gonna be fucking a menace. Sivir is gonna be a fucking menace. I might permaban her, bro. Yeah. I'm gonna be very interested when you guys play against her, because her Q damage. Have you seen that? It's going up.
It's a low level buff for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very, for an ADC, that kind of buff is very desirable, because later in the game, your ability damage is not usually as important as your autos. Yeah. So, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think everyone else is kind of warranted, but this person, which is Talon. I think Talon's one of the most uninteractive. I don't want to be offensive. So yeah, he's just one of the uninteractive, stupidest, dumbest assassins you can play with. You could literally mash your face from the keyboard and he still can kill you. Like, yeah. And then he's out of position. Oh, well, I can just jump over a wall, and then I can keep jumping over walls. It's like,
and I can make myself untargetable and then jump over the wall. Yeah, it's like the dude has a fucking what was that old Drakthir? What the blade that made you untargetable when you killed somebody?
Duskblade.
Yeah,
Duskblade.
Yeah, Duskblade. Yeah, dude, this motherfucker has Duskblade built into his kit. on command. It's just like whenever he wants, and he can hit you while he's untargetable. It's just I don't. He's an annoying champion because he just does a lot of damage really fast too.
and, and
I don't
and
know.
that's the problem. I don't think his damage is earned. He just
Yeah,
runs at you. Every ability, I Q you, with my little three shurikens that go forward and come back, which is also still bugged, by the way. The hitbox on that shit is still bugged.
yeah,
I kill you, come back. Oh, and then I oil you, and then now you have bleed applied, and now I can do the rest of my, and then I can just dash on you and kill you like that because now you have bleed applied to you, and it's
right.
like that's just not interactive. He's such a dumb champion, and I feel like every time they buff him, I literally like roll my eyes because now I see Talon players come back drooling on the keyboard like, oh, I'm just gonna QEW you and I win the game. Like, yeah, cool, bro. You won. Yeah, it's
Uh,
like I think he's worse than the Fury. Like, legitimately, right? At least the Fury has
mm,
like a dive. She has to commit to the dive. He, on the other hand, I can just jump over the wall like a whack ass Assassin's Creed character. Like, that's all his shit is, bro. It's so fucking annoying, man. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I no joke, Justin. Out of all the assassin characters, this is the one I hate the most. And it's not because he's hard. He's just really fucking boring. I don't even play him because he's so fucking boring to play.
Hey
I
man,
played him one time.
he's the Assassin's Creed fucking assassin in the game.
He's so bad,
They
though.
need
He's
a
just
Ubisoft like collaboration skin with him. Like an Ezio skin. Like they got to do that at some point.
they got to, man.
Because he is that
Yeah.
motherfucker. For sure.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know, man. He's just so stupid to me. But yeah, I mean, that was my biggest things from the thing. I mean, they did also Swain is getting like a huge rework.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm glad to see that he's getting out of mid support. I do want to see him in other lanes because I actually like playing him. I just don't like playing him as a support character. I think he's a terrible support character. Um,
yeah,
but then when he's good, he's super good. Like, if that makes any sense. So,
yeah, yeah.
um, and then another thing is, I am glad they're finally fucking nerfing Blade of the Ruin King. I use it, Blade of the Ruin King. Everybody uses Blade of the Ruin King. I just think this weapon, this item, is just so fucking
It's been
crazy.
nerfed so many, dude. It's been nerfed so many times since we started
I,
playing this game. Like,
I wish they can just remove it from the game, but they can't. It's a staple. Um,
yeah, yeah.
but it's just so stupid, man. Like Aurelia, for instance, before this, Aurelia and Yone are two characters who just build this and then they become unkillable gods, like for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
ungodly reason or whatever. So, Lethal Tempo is getting a buff, which I don't know if it's going to be enough to put it back as good. I don't like the way Lethal Tempo works. I just say take Hella Blades, or not Hella Blades, but take Press to Attack, and you
Well,
do way more damage
the
over
thing
time.
is it's inherently not good for melee because you're not as a melee character in League of Legends. It's very rare you're gonna get in and be able to hit somebody 6 times with an auto.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
so, and if you did, they're probably already dead. So the max attack speed is not very useful. I think it's a lot more useful for ADCs is
yes.
where lethal tempo is actually usable to me. Yeah, I don't like for a character like Yone or Yasuo, it's just like, dude, like by the time you've hit somebody that many times, they should be dead. So I don't know. They probably need to rework it a little for melee, beyond just changing the or increasing the max attack speed it can have. But I don't know. Bounty system's also changing, which is going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how that works. I like what they're doing philosophically here. That it's more about gold, the gold difference. They seem to disagree that that's more important than XP, which I don't disagree with them on that necessarily. But the whole point of the bounty system is to give you gold, not experience. If that was the problem, then the bounty system should give you extra XP, not gold.
Mhm.
So if it's going to be a gold thing, if you're using gold to bridge that gap, it should bridge the gap on gold, not on based on experience to me. So which is basically what they're weighting it towards. So But yeah, man, talking about Duskblade, man, that just gave me PTSD. You remember those days when
Oh
assassins would
my
kill
god,
somebody
bro!
and then
And
they
then I
would go
disappear for two
untargetable,
seconds
and
for
then
it
their
was a
entire kit would come back up, and then they kill somebody else, and then they go untargetable, and then they kill somebody else and go untargetable, and they just do that for the entire fight, and like they would
Ki-
five pentakill the
fucking
entire team.
Kaizix was a fucking
Brother,
menace.
dude, seriously, anybody that had an invis with that fucking weapon, it was ridiculous. Because yeah, you would kill someone, be untargetable for 2 seconds. The second the untargetable ended, you would go invis, and then you just do it all over again once your cooldowns were up. It was fucking absurd. It was
I
nonsense.
don't understand how it lasted so long.
Me either.
I really don't. So, I feel like week one that shit should have been deleted. Like I was like, what is this item, bro? Like what is this? I don't
Bro,
know, man.
you remember when like Varus was building it and shit? I was like, what? It's fucking like, what a fucking stupid weapon. It's just such a dumb. It was a dumb concept.
I hope
I'm
they
glad it's
never bring
gone.
that weapon. Yeah, I hope they never bring that weapon back. That
Agreed.
weapon was
It was
fucking
it
terrible,
was a
man.
menace, dude. The mythic version of that weapon was fucking insanity.
Oh
Like,
my god, bro.
can you think about that though? A couple years ago, like the level of power that items and characters had just feels like it was so much higher 2 years ago. It just feels like they've just been consistently nerfing the game over 2 years to get to the point we're at now. Um, and which is what we were saying back then, is there was too much damage in the game, and it feels like Riot agreed with us because like it's just, dude, it's so much less now than it was back then.
I actually like how slower paced the game. The game to me still feels faster. And
Yeah,
I think that's because the champions they made and the nerfs and buffs they did during that time were
hmm
to facilitate the faster gameplay. And now we have to nerf all the champions or we have to change all the champions again to go back to the slower gameplay.
yeah,
Because you can see it in certain champions that they were meant to be online way earlier than when they are supposed to be. And then there are champions still that come online a little bit too fast, in my opinion. But yeah, I agree. Like, um, despite all my stuff about the game, I still think it's in a way better spot than gameplay wise, not like community wise, but gameplay wise, way better spot than what it was in patch. What was that? Season 12 when we started playing again, or
yeah,
11?
yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that season 12 was probably a rough year. That was a rough year for us.
There
I
was
was
a
mad.
huge gap of time where we didn't play. I think there was like a 6 month break in there from
Yeah,
what I remember.
we stopped playing the game, man, because it was just,
Yeah, it
it,
was it was bad.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. So, all right. Other things with League though, just real quick here. There were layoffs at Riot on the League of Legends team specifically. There were 30, I believe it was 32 people who were let go as part of this, and the Riot co-founder Mark Merrill said, "quote uh, we have we've made changes to our team and how we work to make sure we can keep improving the league experience now and for the long term. As part of the changes, we made a tough decision to eliminate some roles. This isn't about reducing headcount to save money. It's about making sure we have the right expertise so that league continues to be great for another 15 years and beyond. While team effectiveness is more important than team size, the league team will eventually be even larger than it is today as we develop the next phase of league." End quote. That's as much as I really feel like we need to read here. So, I mean,
Yeah,
Montreal, what do you
yeah.
think of this? You know, how this affects the league team?
Um, honestly, it came out of nowhere. We
It
just had a
did.
massive layoff. What was it? That wasn't even a couple months ago. It wasn't even 5 months ago,
It
right? It
was
was
a
like
few months ago. Yeah.
it was a few months.
It was less than it. Yeah,
June.
it was
Was it
June,
June?
wasn't it? Let
Yes.
me see. I'll find out.
Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it was January this year. It was early this year.
January. Okay, it was earlier, so it was less.
Yeah.
It wasn't really 5 months. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, they cut a lot of stuff. They cut back a lot of stuff. They got rid of like the Forge and the Forge team and all that stuff like that, which are making like the side project games, which I actually really enjoyed. Um,
hmm
but this sucks. Like this is some of their core team they're eliminating, and I guess they're eliminating like the low performers. I'm assuming
That
that's
was what
what.
I was gonna say. This sounds like they had some people that might have been coasting or something, and they're just knocking them out. They're getting them out of
Yeah,
there, and they're going to get higher quality, what they would consider quote higher quality people to replace them. That's kind of what this feels like to me. Um,
and like no shade at some of the people that got laid off. Because I know being laid off fucking sucks. They did give them a severance package though, so it wasn't like a
oh
direct
yeah,
firing. They
and
gave them a really
dude,
good
it's an
severance package.
amazing severance package. They give them like I think it's like 6 months of pay or
6 months.
something.
So they give them
Yeah,
6 months to pay
and
with the
insurance.
benefits
Yeah,
to keep their laptop.
it's fucking nutty, dude. Riots. I gotta give them credit. Okay, like that is not common. Like that level of severance is not common. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you know, as much as the
and
layoffs suck, like it's not something you're going to encourage or be happy about, right? But at least they're doing right by the people they let go for the most part.
yeah, for the most part. I mean, it sucks for some of the people that are overseas. I know one lady said, like, my visa is going to end, and like, unless I get my visa renewed with another job, then it's going to be, I'm going to get deported in like 60 days or something like that, which sucks.
Jesus.
Um, but yeah, I hope they find something. But then on the other end of that, right, some of them were posting some of their skins that they worked on, and I was like, yikes, I did hate this skin. Like,
Or
You
champions, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, champions or whatever. But it was mostly like a lot of people were posting their skin work that they did. And there was one skin I was like, "Ooh, I'm not going to name the skin because I don't want nobody like, oh, you're fucking attacking this person. So I'm not going to name the skin or what it looked like. But it was a couple skins. I was just like, yeah, I did complain about this skin when it came out, and I can definitely see why they got rid of it, or got why they it wasn't a top performer in my opinion,
Yeah.
uh, or whatever. So, but yeah, but still, like these are still, even though I didn't like the skin, these are still extremely talented people. And working, in my opinion, working for a team like Riot or a studio like Riot and having that on your resume, is super good. I remember when I didn't apply for them because I didn't know who the fuck they were, right? But
Yeah.
like we were in school, I was trying to be a character designer, and my teacher was like, "Oh, apply for some of these jobs or whatever." And Riot Games was on there, and let me remind you, this is like 2011, so I still wasn't playing. I didn't start playing League of Legends until 2017 or 2016 rather. So I was like, "Who the fuck is?" I was like, "Oh, Riot Games. What the fuck do they make? One of those fucking mobile games or what the fuck?" Like, ugh, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
work for them. Fuck that. And I just left it alone.
Wow.
Oh man, I mean, granted, my work wasn't good enough to work with them anyway. But I don't know. I thought it was just funny as
Would have
fuck
been a different
that.
trajectory. We wouldn't be doing this podcast right now.
Hey man, our paths probably would still cross. It doesn't matter. Um,
Oh, it was meant to be, huh?
yeah, it's meant to be.
uh, hey, man,
Yeah,
fair
I
enough.
just didn't. I just didn't like the game industry the way when I finally got into it. Like the little times I dig into it, I didn't like it.
Well,
I think
dude,
it's some.
reading Jason's book on Blizzard, that is the one thing that is really like hammered home. Dude, these people literally like sacrifice their fucking lives to make video games. Like it's insanity. Like they're like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
ruin their marriage. Didn't spend any time with their kids. They're literally working in the office, like sleeping in the fucking office. Like they literally don't have a life outside of their job. Like that was made very clear in this book, and that was that's very prevalent in the game industry. It's not as much anymore. Like it's definitely been cut down a
Oh
lot,
yeah,
but yeah,
it's definitely
it's
changed now. Like I would like to get
yeah,
into the industry now if I had the time to. But back then, bro, just breaking in, you had to do really, really crazy shit. Like you had to dedicate not only just dedicate your time off like off time to like just honing your craft, browsing forums, constantly getting judged by people, or not
mhm,
judged but critiqued rather is a better word, critiqued by people and stuff like that. And sometimes that, even though you're not supposed to take it personal, sometimes that shit can be demoralizing, especially when we're working on a project for or a character or something like that for like hours and hours, and you're like, yes, it finally looks good. And then someone comes in and they just rip it a fucking part. You're just like, this is wrong. What is this anatomy here? And blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, um, yeah. And then if you do get work, it's more likely freelance. And if you do get like like I said, like a Blizzard type job or Activision type job, you just gotta hold on to it dearly because freelancing is not fun as well. Even being a freelancer to the freelancer, which I was, is not fun as well. So it's just like, uh, I just kind of gave up on it, and it sucks. And that's why, even though these people are getting like, laid off and stuff like that, I know they can get another job almost. Well, I don't know about in this climate, but it used to be like almost instantaneously. Because once you have like, I worked on Riot Games. I was
Yeah.
not as freelancer, but like I was in the actual company. Like you can get a job almost instantaneously because your connections you're going to be building and everything of that nature. And that's just like, even if you're the most introverted person, um, you're still going to make connections and stuff like that. I still have connections and stuff like that. And I was super introverted and everything of that nature. Even in the job I am now, I make connections. So it's just like, um, yeah, I have faith that these people will actually bounce back, as well. So yeah, I feel
Fair
bad for
enough.
them, but yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean you're right. Having Riot on your resume is powerful. So
yeah.
these people probably will be okay for the most part. But all right, and then the last thing, I mean, this is poor timing because this came out, a couple days after these layoffs. Is there's a new, so they announced a new League of Legends skin tier called Exalted Skins. But they are also introducing a new way of acquiring these skins, which is going to be basically what appears to be some kind of gotcha system, which they have something similar to this already with a lot of skins, where they have this Yasuo skin right now that is, you basically, you can only acquire through these packs that are exclusive to the skin, and you pay, you can buy up to 30 of the packs to unlock it. Like if you buy 30, you're guaranteed, and you open 30, you're guaranteed to get the skin. However, if you're opening them, you have a 1% chance to get the skin before that. So it sounds like it's going to be pretty similar to that, because that skin is the equivalent of $200 right now. If you bought the 30 packs, it's 22,500 riot points, which I believe is $200 worth,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be similar to that, but it sounds like more expensive. But what they're doing with this one is that there will be a increasing drop rate if you fail to get the skin in your when you open a pack. So it'll be this kind of escalating drop rate. You'll have a better chance to get it the more packs you open, which is, we were talking about this before the show. You had mentioned that this is like kind of reminiscent of Genshin Impact and certain gacha games like that, which is true. In Genshin Impact, there is a certain point, so you're guaranteed a 5-star in Genshin at 90 pulls. But when you hit 70 pulls without getting a 5-star, the game starts escalating your 5-star drop rate very quickly. At that point, increasing your odds. It's called soft pity in that game, and it's very unlikely you'll actually get to 90 without pulling a 5-star. It's extremely rare that will happen. However, I had mentioned that this is actually a system that I remember from Dota 2. They've been doing this for a long time with their loot boxes, where every box has like this super crazy exclusive skin that is exceptionally rare to get. They actually don't even tell you what the drop rate of the skin is. But as you open packs, your drop rate for that skin gets higher and higher and higher the more packs you open, until you eventually get it, and then it resets, and you can do the whole cycle over again. So it's kind of like that. But this is just a continued trend with League of trying to make extremely high value skins that cost a fuck ton of money for their really high end whale type players that are in the game. So,
Yeah.
what do you think of this, Montreal?
Um, I don't know. To be honest, I'm just against loot boxes in general.
Yeah,
Um, I actually like the system they have now, where either they got the battle pass and then they have the skins. But I guess they're not making enough money for that. So I guess you got to make your money another way. And since Dota is doing it and everybody else is doing it, why the fuck not? Um, I just don't. I just hope this doesn't become their main source of income, because then they're gonna start locking the best skins behind this shit. And um, I
Well,
really
yeah. So
don't
this is going to be an
want
extremely
that.
high end skin where it's going to have This is Jinx skin that's going to have multiple variants of itself, like that you can switch to mid game.
Yeah,
You'll be able to switch
yeah,
between, which that is not normal. That's not a thing that they've done before, as far as I know.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I'm not, but I mean, it's the equivalent. Of like, I think you're going to be spending like $250 or
yeah,
something of that nature to actually get that skin. Like, if you're
guarantee it.
rolling for it, yeah, to
Yeah,
guarantee it. Which I mean, cool. I mean, if you're rolling it right, I guess the value is there. Because, like, say if I do $245 worth of rolls and I don't get it right, I'm probably getting other skins in between that roll, so I'm still getting skins there until I get the roll I want to get. Am I correct? Like, sometime,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Of course, you're gonna get something out of every loot box, but I mean, it could be a dog shit trash skin. That's
Yeah, exactly.
so
And
not worth the pack, basically.
yeah, so I
And it's
mean,
also random. It could be for characters you don't play, characters you don't even
yep,
own. So all that.
yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. Especially if you're like one of those people that have like almost every skin. This is probably not worth it for you. And then for
Yeah,
people like me, I don't have almost every skin for characters. I only play like a select few characters, so I do own every character, but I don't have skins in every character, and it is pretty cool. Like, if I do, I'm just trying to look at the bright side. I'm not trying to be super negative. So it's like if I play like Aatrox once, I will have an Aatrox skin because I randomly got it from a drop or whatever. I think that's
yeah,
like okay or
yeah,
whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, they got to make their money somehow.
yeah.
I I wish it wasn't this way, but it is what it is.
I just wish my issue with this is that I just wish it was possible to get some of these packs for free. Like these premium packs that they do with like the Yasuo skin or whatever. Like I wish there was a way to get, because you see them in your loot, like it shows them in there so that you can buy them. And I'm like, dude, give me a way to like earn one or two, It's like you don't have to go crazy. You don't need to give me like 10. But like it would be kind of cool to be able to get one of these skins for free somehow, in like a crazy lucky roll on like a loot box. Like how exciting would that be, as a free to play player or something?
Yeah,
It's not like we don't put money in the game too, like we both spent money on skins. I've done it. I've done it in League plenty of times. Like I occasionally, every once in a while, every few months, I'll put $50 in, and I'll just have riot points for like several months. And it's like, but they don't, there's certain things that they just seem to make very exclusive to high spenders, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I would like everything to be somewhat accessible to free to play players, but it is what it is. One interesting note from this article actually is one of the artists who was let go from these layoffs was Ben Rosado, is his name, and
mhm.
he actually worked on the $500 Ari skin
Oh,
that was made
yikes.
for Faker, which is kind of crazy to think about, because that skin is actually like really nice looking. It's pretty well made, but um, yeah, maybe didn't do as well as they were hoping. Maybe, but
Yeah.
fucking $500 skin. It's fucking insane, dude. That's literally a PlayStation. It's like That's a PlayStation 5. It's like nuts for a skin in League of Legends. You know, I don't know. Money's value is relative. So, all right. Enough league talk, Montrell. Let's get into the rest of the news here. Um, First story is about Halo. So we talked about Halo Studios last week, 343 being renamed, and we got some news already coming out that Halo Combat Evolved might be getting a remaster or a remake. Not sure which, but we this was rumored several months ago, back in June, but seems to have gotten further corroboration now from Nick Baker, who is an somebody who's been an Xbox insider for a while. He was talking on a podcast about a new project that they're working on, and he mistakenly said that it was a new Halo game that is coming sometime in 2025. But he clarified and said that he thinks it's a Combat Evolved remake. of some sort. So, um, Montrell, Combat Evolved remake, does that excite you? If true.
I'm gonna sound like an old ass man, but hell no. Out of all the Halos, no man. I don't want you to remake Combat Evolved. I'm sorry.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't want it to be remade,
Why
bro. I'm
not?
sorry.
Why
It
not?
has too many iconic moments in it that
You don't think they'll be able to
um
do justice to?
yeah,
Okay.
I just don't think they're gonna be able to touch it. And that's just me, and I am biased, and I know that they can probably do some crazy shit with it. Um, I I don't want the dialogue and yeah, I know Master Chief himself is getting the actual voice actor is getting old, so they probably got to find another Master Chief and everything of that nature. So I get it, right? I totally get it. But for me personally, man, like uh I don't want none of the new. You know how they write scripts now, like it's they're starting to get better with gaming scripts. Like it's not as marvelly as it was before.
Mhm.
But I just don't want that, man. Like,
What if they
uh,
didn't change the script though?
what if they didn't change the script?
Yeah, it was just like a graphical update and mechanical update.
I mean, they did a graphics update before, and it didn't go too well. To be honest with you, maybe which is probably why they're trying again. Uh, they did a
I don't
graphics
know.
update before.
Yeah.
They did one
Yeah.
before for Halo Reach. It was a Halo Reach Combat Evolved combination thing they did for the 360. I don't know if you remember that, but they did
I don't.
update the graphics where you can actually swap back and forth between the old graphics and the new graphics, like on the fly.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was like a button you can press like black. You remember if you it was like I think it was either black or white. You press that, not black or white. It was like R1 or L1 or something, or bumper or left bumper or whatever, and it would actually swap the graphics to the new graphics engine or the old one on the fly. So the graphics, both engines were running concurrently with each other, and it was kind of cool actually. But a lot of
Okay.
people like the art style of of the newer graphics. Um, they
Okay.
changed the way the Marines looked a little bit. It was just weird stuff that they changed. I agree, like I didn't like it either. So um, I I don't know. Like if you're gonna update the gameplay, then cool. I'm down with that. Um, but I still think like there are just too many iconic moments in Halo One. I mean, everyone obviously knows Halo Two, but like Halo One has some iconic moments as well. Um,
Dude, Halo 1
yeah,
is fucking awesome.
yeah. It's just like Bowhammer. Like they can't take Bowhammer out of in my mind. Like that lady who did Bowhammer's voice was like really cool. When she was driving the Pelican, not the Pelican, but flying
The
the
Rogue.
Pelican rather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, the Pelican, fucking pilot.
The
She ended up
helicopter, yeah.
dying. Yeah, she ended up dying, like in one of the missions or whatever, like later on. But she was like integral to the game as well as like you know or whatever. So I don't know. I understand why they're doing it. In my opinion, if you're gonna remake Halo, just do a reboot of the entire universe and do your own thing. If that makes any sense, I don't want them to do remake, but like different. If that makes any sense, but it's like it's still gonna follow the same story beats. Like
Yeah.
just remake the entire thing. If that almost akin to like what Resident Evil was doing, like where they're actually like remaking the game and they're actually also changing some plot shit as well. We're like Resident Evil 4 remake, it's completely different. The tone and everything is completely different from the tone of Resident Evil 4, the game, but they also kept the spirit of the old game in the new game.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, which I understand is totally hard to do, but they pulled it off. The only one they kind of missed with was Resident Evil 3 remake, which everyone unequivocally agrees is the worst Resident Evil remake they ever done. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, how you feel about it?
I'm kind of in the opposite space for you. When I heard about this, I was like, man, this might get me to play Halo again. Because yeah, Combat Evolved rules. Like, it's a fucking amazing game. I love the campaign. Like, dude, I would love to do like a fucking heroic playthrough with you or DJ or something. Because because you can do up to 4 players, right, in Halo campaigns usually,
Uh,
or is it only
Halo
2?
3. Halo 3 you can do.
Oh, okay,
Halo 2
okay.
and 1 was, still
But they could
2
change. They
players.
could change that, right? They could
Yeah,
change that if
they can change that, yep, you're right.
yeah. So they could change that if they did a remake, which would be fucking sick, dude. Because yeah, no, the Halo One campaign is amazing. The beginning of the game is so fucking eerie, and it's so cool, dude. Like, because you don't know where you are, and you don't like the characters don't really know where they are either. Like they're trying to like understand this Halo ring. And then you get to the point where the floods show up, and dude, it's one of the coolest fucking moments in a shooter that I've ever played. So it's like you said, there are some iconic moments in the game. The library level is infamous. And it's like, but I really like that level. But so I think if they were going to remake it, I wouldn't want them to change anything really. Like, don't change the major beats. If you want to add a couple scenes or levels, like go ahead and do that. That's fine. But I wouldn't change the major. I wouldn't change the parts of the game that are already there, really, necessarily. So,
Yeah,
um,
you know what it is? I just don't have and this is gonna sound really bad, but I just don't have faith in the team. I
yeah, no,
understand, like, they're supposed.
that was what I was gonna say. That's the problem. Is
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. They need to prove it before we can really like have faith in them, right?
Yeah.
Because they have proven over several years now that they are not up to this task. And I mean, to be fair, this is like a completely different team now. Like it feels like 343, in this transition to Halo Studios has completely different leadership. A lot of people are gone. Like it's a different studio now. So maybe they will be able to pull this off. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's the thing though. If I'm Microsoft, if you're gonna do this, you better make sure they're able to pull this off because you can't fuck this one up. This is like you cannot fuck this up. But I say that, and then you think about like Master Chief Collection back in the day, and that was such an epic fuck up. That game was broken for such a long time, and it's like, come on, man. So they're capable of doing it for sure. But it's just if you're gonna do this again with Combat Evolved, like you got to do it right this time. I feel like so. I don't know. It could be exciting. I think that's the thing. It could be exciting, but it could also be an epic fail. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean, yeah, we'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's just like, man, we
Mhm.
already been through this before, like, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Our next story. So Dreamhaven, which is the studio slash publisher that Mike Morhaime created when he left Blizzard back in 2019 timeframe, has announced one of their studio's first games. So the one of the studio called Secret Door, which is led by oh my god, what's his full name? It's Chris Sagatti. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Sagatti. He is one of the original developers from Blizzard. He worked on a bunch of games from their early era, and he's leading the Door Studio. And they have announced their first game, which is called Sunderfolk. And this game is going to be a co-op strategy game for console and PC. Uh, that will be basically it sounds like it's going to be kind of like a board game in video game form, but you will be able to control the game via phones or tablets to make it easier for multiple players to play the game together. It sounds like what they're trying to do basically is make board game night in a video game that everybody can play while sitting in the same room, essentially. Which is a really interesting idea to me. Obviously, execution will matter a lot here, but given for us specifically, our group, I feel like a game like this actually might have appeal for us because we actually, play board games fairly often together with two other people. And this could be a kind of a cool thing because I have the TV in my board game, in the room where my table is, and we could literally like play this game, on the TV as a board game. You don't have to take any pieces out or anything like that. So setup and teardown doesn't exist. So
Mhm.
it'd probably be fairly easy for us to get significant time into it. But what do you think, Montreal? Does this have appeal? They did mention Gloomhaven as a significant influence for the game.
Mm.
So that's another reason I am intrigued by it, because it is going to be an RPG of some sort, where your characters will progress, and you'll be able to individually level your characters up on your phone, in the phone app that will connect to the game as well. Um, and you'll also be able to control. I think you'll be able to control the characters through the phone app in the game too. So you're not like passing a controller around or doing awkward shit like that, right?
Uh, this actually appeals to me. The reason why is because I really wanted a virtual tabletop version of like Warhammer 40K.
Hmm.
Um, and I was thinking about like, oh, why don't they just do that? But it's like their money is in their minis, and if you make a digital version of the game, then all that's going to go away. You know,
Right. Right.
because people are just going to play it online instead of going in person. But yeah, I was just really I really because there's actually this app on Steam called Tabletop Simulator, and you can actually download sets
Hmm.
and like custom made sets that the community made for Warhammer 40K and everything like that, and you place them on there, but it looks pretty janky.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a really good way for me to try to learn what I want to build and try strategies and stuff like that before I actually implement it in like real time gameplay, and everything of that nature. Um, like for when me and Jet eventually actually fight each other and stuff like that on Warhammer 40K. So like
Hmm.
yeah, a digital version of a tabletop I think is really cool. Um, I was actually wondering why other games don't do a digital version. I guess, like I said, because it'll take away from their actual tabletop. But I don't know. I think people like us are the people who are playing these games as well. So it'll be cool to be like, oh, we can't do Oathsworn today, but let's just do it digitally. You know,
Yeah. Let's
I
play the
can't.
digital game. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, or whatever. So uh, I don't know. I think this is pretty cool though. I'm actually like I didn't even know this came out or they showed this, and I think it's the gameplay looks pretty cool. I mean, it looks like a standard tabletop game. I do like seeing the animations and stuff like that. I do wish tabletops. This is like something in the future, right? I wish like we're like 50 years in the future and like we can have like little hologram tabletop versions. So like when I do move
Yeah,
something,
like
I can see it.
Star Trek chess or whatever, the way
Yeah,
they did it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, man.
Um,
I always was so fascinated by that cafeteria where they had all these like boards set up for like playing virtual chess or whatever. I was like, man, that
yeah.
looks so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Uh And like I actually like Skylanders because of that. Because like I
Mm,
bought this
mhm.
mini, and then I can put it on my screen. On like I could place it, and I see the attack happen on screen. And I was like, man, that would be cool if like maybe even the minis you buy is not only like tabletop, but you can put it on like a digital board game or something, and then like see it happen and like the animations and stuff happen. But that's like a very ambitious project. But like, yeah, I think this is really cool. I think this is a step in the right direction, though. Just having like their own tabletop RPG style game.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So
it's going to be very key how the app works, and how much functionality you get out of it, and how
yeah,
much control you get out of it. Because yeah, if there's any awkward shit like having to use controllers or pass controllers around for people, it's going to be a little weird. So
yeah,
I'm interested in that, but I'm sure they'll let us know more about it. But I'm going to keep my eye on this one for sure, because this definitely feels something our game group would be interested in playing for sure.
yeah.
There would be and it for me, the reason this is very appealing is because I'm always the host, and I'm always the one setting up and running the games. So to have a board game we could play on my PlayStation that I don't have to do any setup for, it's very appealing, extremely appealing. So
Well, not only
yeah.
that, we can get other friends into like that are across Texas for us, right? Like we get
Hmm.
Dennison in if he wants
Yeah.
to play a game with us or
Right.
whatever the
That's
case may
true.
be. So,
Yeah, that's fair.
um,
Yeah.
and then we could do like a little virtual setup where we just have him like us have him on FaceTime or something like that on the screen next to us while we're all sitting there.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
don't
the
know.
key thing to know how possible that is, right? Like,
Yeah,
because yeah, would he be able to control the game on my PlayStation from Austin? I don't know. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
that's kind of a key detail, I feel like. But that would be kind of cool because we could like set up a camera for him or something, like a laptop or something, and
Yeah.
have him be present, there at the same time. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea, um, for sure. So it's coming in 2025 uh as well, but no exact date or time frame beyond that. So all right, let's move on. This one is pretty much for me. But there was a little event that happened this week on related to Warcraft 3, and that is that the private PTR was updated within Blizzard for a version of Warcraft 3 called 2.0, and it was updated on the developer branch of the game, which is Blizzard's internal version of the game that they use for testing or whatever. So this got reverted very quickly, but was caught very quickly. People caught it, and it got out there. So they didn't get away with it. And the reason this is notable is that Warcraft 3 has never had a major version revision to 2.0. So it's always been in the 1.0 branch of the game. So even when Frozen Throne came out, it was not 2.0. It was I don't remember what version it was, but it was like 1.2 or something.
Mhm.
And then Reforged was also not 2.0. They just upticked it to like, I think that was version like 1.31 or something for the game. And the game is currently on 1.36.2 is the current version of the game. So the game going to 2.0 suggests a very notable uh update that would be coming to the game potentially. We don't know anything more than that, right? So this is all speculative, basically. However, the fact that somebody did this update indicates something's going on. Maybe going to 2.0 was a mistake. Maybe they meant to go to 1.36.3 or 1.4 or something like that. I don't know. But regardless, the fact that it happened is kind of getting everybody speculating that maybe they're going to try to revitalize the game, redo, reforge, the game or whatever. So this is something I'm going to be keeping my eye on because I've recently gotten back into Warcraft 3, and dude, if they redid the game, I would be so fucking stoked. To be honest, because I will say, to give some credence to this idea, is that Microsoft's taken over. Last year they've owned this company now for about a year. It's been close to a year, and that is enough time for them to have had started working on something for Warcraft 3. And Microsoft famously has always been a pretty strong supporter of RTS games. The entire Age of Empires series is theirs. Age of Mythology is theirs, and those two series, Age of Mythology just got a remaster, and then Age of Empires 2 has been remastered two different times, and then this second time has gotten a bunch of new content added to it, and completely revitalized that game where there's like actually a vibrant community playing Age of Empires 2. And they've continued the franchise as well up to Age of Empires 4, which came out last year. That's also a current game that they're supporting as well. So Microsoft's always had a history with the RTS genre going back a very long time, to the 90s. So it wouldn't surprise me necessarily that maybe they would take Blizzard and be like, look, guys, like maybe let's spin something up on this genre, because Blizzard themselves, this was actually a detail that came out of the book from Jason Schreier. They have had no interest in an RTS since StarCraft 2 was finished. They have completely lost interest in that genre, and they don't think it's worth the time. They don't want to do it creatively, which was a humongous disappointment to learn that that's where they're at. That's where they were at several years ago. So maybe Microsoft could have changed some things around there and actually push them into maybe going down this path again with this genre, because it's what put Blizzard on the map, and they're the ones who kind of popularized RTS in a like significant way with StarCraft, in my opinion. So um yeah, I don't know. I don't much, right? You probably don't have anything to say on this, but I did want to put it in the
Unfortunately,
news
I don't.
because I'm excited. Okay, there might be something happening. Another thing about this actually is that the 30th anniversary of the Warcraft franchise is coming up on November 15th. And there's going to be something that they've been teasing called a Warcraft Direct happening sometime around that time to do a bunch of announcements for the Warcraft franchise, which maybe this might be announced there. So we'll see. So I will probably have news on this in the next month, whether something happens or doesn't happen. So we'll see. But yeah, I love Warcraft 3. Montreal, you want to play Warcraft 3 with me?
Yes, if the new thing will come out, yeah, I'll play it with
Oh
you.
man, what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? Man, dude, me, you, Jet, and if we can get like somebody else, like Brad or something, like dude, we could do 4v4 ladder. Oh, it'd be so fucking fun, dude. Like, oh, I'd be so excited.
We have to get them first. Like we have to
Okay.
get them there first.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right, let's move on to our final story, which finally, dude, I have had this on the news tentatively for like over a month. And that is August Circana sales data finally came out. Fucking like literally towards the end of October. Shit is fucking irritating as all hell. That it took them this long to release this data. It came out on October 11th. So yeah. Total video game sales for August 2024 were 4.12 billion versus 4.435 billion last year. That is a 7% decrease from last year. Video game content, physical digital sales, DLC microtransactions, etc. 3.739 billion this year versus 3.933 billion last year. That's a 5% decrease. Video game hardware, 208 million this year versus 324 million last year. That is a 36% decrease. And then video game accessories, 173 million this year versus 178 million last year. That's a 3% decrease. Montreal, this is a significant negative month compared to July, which was actually a very positive month year over year. This has had the opposite thing has happened this month. It seems like the interesting thing to me is hardware, that it's so negative, that it seems like this generation is maybe this is just a specific moment in time, right? But that is something happening here though with hardware. Like is the generation just in general, like are people getting fatigued and not wanting to buy the consoles?
Uh, I still think it's some of the COVID effect. I think there are a lot of people still with PS4s out there, especially,
Yeah.
um, and I think supply chain hitting hard in the 2020, 2021, and on to 2022 was really rough. So if you didn't get in early, then tough luck, unfortunately for you,
Yeah.
which wasn't fair. But then on top of that, the job losses in 2020 or layoffs and furloughs and stuff like that that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Even with the stimulus check, a lot of the stuff went towards rent and groceries, so people didn't have the luxury of buying consoles and everything of that nature. So, and then you fast forward to today. I mean, groceries are still high, and I just think it's the economy right now. I don't think it's the game industry per se. I just think it's the economy. I try to break it down for people like
Yeah.
just like rent and groceries in particular are still high. So I don't have the extra $500 to go out and buy me a digital, even the digital version of a PS5 right now. Which I think the PS Pro coming out, I think will drop the prices of the PS5. Even though you can get them really low now, I think I saw a used PS5 for like $299 or something like that, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Now, so uh, I think it's very affordable now. I think people still have in their minds though, and it's still in my mind too, right? Like I still look at the PS5 as $499, $450, or five hundred
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
When it's like, and realistically, it's $400 now, or you can probably get one for $350 somewhere if you look hard enough. Um, But yeah, I think a lot of people are just stuck in that, and it's like also as well, they're still making games for PS4, so why would I upgrade to a PS5? Like for this is for like the casual audience. Why would I? They're still
Yeah,
making games for it. I think
yeah.
Sparking Zero's on a PS4. I think.
Jesus,
Don't don't quote me on that. But uh
I'll look.
yeah, let me check here real quick.
I got it. Keep
Uh,
going.
okay, but yeah,
No, it looks like it's next
it's
gen
look like it's
only.
PS5 only. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
next
Okay.
gen only rather.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. On top of that, with the PS5 in general, they don't. I mean, the cheaper quote unquote version is the digital version, but nobody really wants to go to digital. In my opinion, nobody really wants to go all digital, especially if you're coming from the PS5. You still probably have games that you want to play backwards compatible that are disc, even though you probably didn't make the transition to full digital library. Uh, and they don't have a cheaper option. Like like I was gonna say like the Xbox, but even the Xbox Series S is all digital as well, I believe. So I don't know why I don't think there's anything out right now that is like you have to get a PS5 for this. You know, you have
Yeah.
to.
Well,
Um,
this could be a pendulum swing from the prior month because if you remember last the July was like a huge month all around, including hardware.
mm,
And it may just be that so many people bought a console in July that there just wasn't that much demand in August as a result, like
yeah,
it kind of like almost front loaded the sales into that month in a way, and then this next month there's just not as many people were buying it, because of college football 25 that came out. And to me, there's two other things too. Is like I think Xbox hardware, interest in Xbox hardware is just cooling in general. Because of the situation they're in. And the second is Switch. I mean, we know Switch 2 is coming. It's going to be announced soon, and I think that is significantly impacting Nintendo at this point. Plus, I mean, we're literally talking about like a 7-8 year old platform at this point. So, plus there's also market saturation things with Switch that are in effect. I think the thing that's interesting, the one that's really interesting is PlayStation to me, because Matt Piscatella said that all of them were at least 34% down compared to a year ago, so including PlayStation. So which is notable. I mean, because you think PS5 would be the one that would be okay, given what I was just talking about, but the only thing I can think of is that yeah, there just was a lot of sales in July, and nobody wanted to buy it in August. So I guess we'll see with September what it looks like. That's something I'll be very interested to see is if the trend continues, and what the cause might be, because then we would be looking at, then it would be very interesting to see uh coming into November with the PS5 Pro, whether that has an impact or not, on the hardware sales. So next few months are going to be kind of interesting to watch, actually, I think, on that front for sure. So all
yeah,
right.
I agree.
Top 20 best selling games in the US in August 2024. Number one, Madden NFL 25. Number two, EA Sports College Football 25. Number three, Star Wars Outlaws. Number four, EA Sports MVP Bundle. Number five, Elden Ring. Number six, Hogwarts Legacy. Number seven, Minecraft. Number eight, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number nine, Marvel Spider Man 2. Number 10, Visions of Mana. Number 11, Gundam Breaker 4. Number 12, The Elder Scrolls Online. Number 13, Helldivers 2. Number 14, Mario Kart 8. 15, Ghost of Tsushima. 16, Sea of Thieves. 17, MLB The Show 24. 18, Forza Horizon 5. Number 19, Gran Turismo 7. And 20, EA Sports FC 24. Let's jump it out to you there, Montrell.
Uh, I was gonna say I was reading the list too. Damn it! There you just go. I hate when I do this. But I think you mentioned oh, there it is, because I was reading the fucking Madden part. Yuck. Uh Star Wars being number 3 is kind of crazy to me. I mean, it is a Star Wars game, I guess.
Like
So
in you didn't think it would be that high way, or
yeah,
it's you
I didn't
thought
think it would be that high.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um.
I mean, Ubisoft has said it has significantly undersold their expectations, so it's probably number 3 on this list by virtue of the fact that nothing else sold a million copies this month, you know? Um, but yeah,
Yeah, but
definitely.
this is just for August. So yeah, the
Yeah.
one that really is interesting to me is the next list that you're going to read here.
Well, the notable thing here to me is what's missing, which is Black Myth Wukong, which they've said have sold 20 million copies. So Circana said that they don't have digital sales for the game. And can you buy Black Myth Wukong physically or no?
I don't think you can. Don't quote me. Let me go to Amazon real quick. Where
Yeah,
I can
I,
get my.
I don't think you can either, which would explain it because then the game's sales are all digital, meaning that it wouldn't have ranked at all.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I mean Madden number one, whatever. The other one is Visions of Mana at 10. Um, honestly, it's just
There is not a physical version of Black Myth Wukong.
okay, gotcha.
So I'm trying to look for it on Amazon, and interesting enough, I should have bought Metaphors there physically.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
is. But yeah, Visions of Mana at 10. It's just another reiteration of how shitty that situation is. That this game fucking charted in the US at number 10, and Square just closed the fucking studio before the game even came out. Um, so yeah, but all right, top 20 best selling games for the year. Number 1, EA Sports College Football 25. Number 2, Helldivers 2. Number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 4, EA Sports MVP Bundle. Number 5, Elden Ring. Number 6, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 7, MLB The Show 24. Number 8, WWE 2K24. 9, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. 10, Hogwarts Legacy. 11, Tekken 8. 12, Madden NFL 25. 13, NBA 2K24. 14, Madden NFL 24. 15, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. 16, Minecraft. 17, Grand Theft Auto 5. 18, EA Sports FC 24. 19, P3 Persona 3 Reload. 20, Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
so this is still only counting like digital stuff, or I'm sorry, physical stuff, right? This is
No,
not counting digital.
unless it has an asterisk, it's both.
Okay. Oh, so if it has an asterisk,
There's a
it
little
is
key
both.
at the bottom explaining what
Okay.
each one means, because some of them have double asterisks, some of them have a single asterisk, some of them have two arrows pointing up next to them. They mean different things. So
Yeah. So I mean, I'm reading this, and yeah, that's kind of weird that Black Myth Wukong is not on here. I thought this was for sure. Did it come out in August? It did, right? Or it came
well,
out in
it
September?
did. They don't have any data for the game, so that's the reason it's not on the list.
Oh, okay.
Like it would probably be ranked 2 or even 1 potentially if they did. Because if they're telling the truth and they sold 20 million copies, I mean that is more than I think anything on this list. So, um, yeah,
Yeah. That's pretty weird that they're not selling. That they're not telling. They're not releasing those numbers. I guess.
I mean it's not necessarily that weird. Like Nintendo doesn't share digital sales numbers with Circana either. It's pretty common. That's why this list, we haven't mentioned it in a long time, but there is a bit of a grain of salt to take with some of this sometimes because this list in particular, the one for the year, is heavily marked up. Where we've got games that don't have digital sales from June through August. Some games don't have digital sales accounted for at all, which, as we know, is a huge portion of a game's sales in the modern era here. And some games, all the Nintendo games are marked digital sales on Nintendo platforms not included, which would likely shoot these games even further up the list, than they
Yeah.
already are. So, in certain cases, I guess in terms of the Nintendo games cases, I will say that's the interesting part about the year, though. Looking at the year so far, is that Nintendo has had a really quiet year. Um, there is nothing
Yeah.
on this list from
That's
Nintendo.
that's true. I mean, I think the fatigue is is finally worn out. I think people are just like, we need to switch to, man, like, or
Well,
whatever
dude,
they're gonna fucking.
and looking at the month, the only Nintendo game is Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
you know? Um and yeah, it's interesting. So I think it's just we're at the end of a generation for Nintendo, right? Like they're about to release new hardware. I think we're gonna get a lot of very exciting announcements. And they're kind of running out of steam a little bit. Like the console needs to come out beginning of next year. They cannot hold it any more than that, realistically.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's not really too many things that stuck out for me on this list, like the 20 best-selling games so far. I mean, I guess it's really crazy that you know they already college football has already outsold Helldivers,
It's
but
fucking
that's not
insane, dude.
that's
Well, okay, let's be fair. It's not outsold. Helldivers 2 may have sold more copies. This is a money's made list. Is the game that made the most money is at the top.
okay.
So that can include, I believe, microtransactions, different additions to the
Oh, okay,
game,
yeah, that
stuff
makes
like
sense.
that.
Why they yeah, I'm not
So
surprised they're up there. Actually, you know what? The one that surprises me is um NBA 2K 2024, even though digital sales were not included. So that could be higher.
probably should be
Um,
higher.
Probably should be higher.
Yeah, dude.
Because
It didn't
we're not
outsell
on
WWE 2K24. Like no way, man.
yeah, because
No fucking
we're not on
way.
2025 yet. NBA
No,
2K.
that's coming out. Or actually, didn't it already come out?
Uh,
NBA 2K25. Yeah, 2K25 came out at the beginning of September, so
Okay,
it'll
yeah,
be on next month's. It'll be on next month's list.
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't. I honestly don't think that one's gonna be on the. It's gonna be on the list.
Yeah,
But that's not gonna be on the highest game selling list because I mean we talked about it in the chat, but they're doing some weird shit with 2K 2025,
yeah.
and it was so bad they had to shut down their comment section or their replies on Twitter.
Oh man.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, because I can't even see the replies anymore. Like you can't see none of the replies at all. Um, but yeah,
Yep.
they made like a shooting game, like a little shoot. It's called Gravity Wall, and you can shoot like a ball or something like that. Or I don't know. It looks like Fortnite. It looks like a side game of Fortnite. It's third person and everything like that. So uh, I don't know, man. I saw that and I immediately thought of Madden and what they did some kind of shit like that, and
Mm-hmm.
I think Angry Joe's heart would probably fucking explode if they did something like that in Madden.
Oh, dude, the day that Angry Joe gets a good Madden game, it's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen. I
It's
think he's
it's
going to
it's
go.
like it's like it's like death and taxes, dude. It's a yearly tradition. It's just we're never gonna get one. Joe's never gonna have an angry review of Madden where he gives it a fucking 9. And he's like, "This is the year, guys. They finally did it. Madden 37. They finally did it." No, it's not
Madden
gonna happen, bro.
37.
It's. I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. It's not that far away, actually.
I know,
12,
right?
12 more years, dude. It's just I just can't envision a future where EA delivers a football game like that where he gives it a fucking 9. you know. So, yeah. All right. Let's move on. We're done with the news, sort of, I guess. This is more of a topic we want to talk about. This is news though that did happen within the gaming space. Is there was a controversy around Asmongold this week, who is a huge streamer on Twitch. He was a World of Warcraft streamer, but has kind of switched to more variety streaming in more recent years, and reactive streaming. I would say he does a lot of reacts content as well. But yeah, so he had some comments this week about Palestine that got him into a lot of hot water. So I'm just gonna read some quotes to set the stage here. So quote, no, I'm not gonna cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. And then he continues, these people are not your allies. They're not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity and is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. End quote. These comments, obviously, there's more. Obviously, you can go watch clips if you want. Whatever. I'm not gonna read more than that. Just setting the stage, right? So he says this. He gets banned by Twitch the next day. It's a 14-day ban. And then basically, I think that same day or the day after that, he releases a statement apologizing for his comments on Twitter. And then this morning, he released a video statement talking further about it and his own mental state, and that he apologized for the comments again. Says things like that kind of hates what he said. He is an asshole, things like that.
Yeah.
He tried to take some amount of accountability for it, and then explain that he is planning to.
You know
He's
what?
taking the fort.
I think he
Yeah,
did take accountability for it. I think he did a good job taking accountability for it, in
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, and then the second half of the video is kind of him explaining that he's gonna take the 14-day ban and take some time to, and he's gonna try when he comes back. He's gonna focus on improving himself, right, and doing better, and improving his life was really the thing that he kept keying on. Is that he felt like his life is not in a good spot. And I would assume most of that is mental for him because he's a fucking millionaire. So, um, I think this is a mental thing for him, clearly, but he kept keying on that though, is that his life's fucked up and he wants to make it better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's setting the stage. So Montrell, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you want to say, I guess, about this situation?
um, I've been, me personally, I've been really quiet on the whole Palestine, Israel thing, and for good reason. It's a very, very complex history that happened
Yes.
in that land. Very complicated. Um, and honestly, I recently read a book by fuck, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, y'all. Um, Tahani. Tahani wrote a book about, he also made the Black Panther um comics and everything of that nature, and he recently wrote a book, and it wasn't about Israel Palestine, but it was about uh his adventures and everything like that. Long story short, it was one part of the book, and this is just coming as a black person. And I feel like also, if you were like way back in the 1920s and 1910s and stuff like that, and you came to America as an immigrant, you probably felt like this as well. But it was one part where he said like he was in Israel, and he had, he's an American citizen, so he was able to got his passport and walk right into like one of the cities or whatever, no problem. But then
Mhm.
someone who was a Palestinian, they were getting pat down. They had to go through a whole separate gate, and it was a whole thing. And then he was on the streets walking, and then the Israeli soldier walked up to him and it was like, "Hey, what's your religion?" And he's like, "What do you mean? I don't really have a religion." He's like, "Then what's your parents' religion?" And he kept asking him until he said Christian or some type of Juda- Judaism, Christianity, Christian or whatever. He's like, "Okay, cool," and he walked away or whatever. And he said he couldn't help but notice, be part of like, he's witnessing the real life version of what Jim Crow was back in the South, because that was like what my grandma told me that happened. There's a restaurant in Bastrop, Louisiana, that every time we go, she does not want to stop by that restaurant at all. Like the
Mhm.
restaurant changed owners and everything, bro. And she's like, "I'm never going to that restaurant because they used to make all of us eat out the back. Like we had to go through the alleyway to get food out of that
Yeah.
restaurant."
Yeah.
So I say that to say like that's very real, and it still actually kind of happens in some towns. We call them sundown towns
Yeah.
that black people can't go into because it's still extremely racist there. If you get caught sundown, they might mess with you or whatever. So yeah, he was saying like that about it. But then on the flip side of that, right? You've been the people that have been oppressed in Europe your entire lives, like thousands of years.
Yeah,
People have
beyond
been like,
lives, yeah, the entire
yeah,
ancestry.
yeah.
Yes.
The entire ancestry has been like, people have been fucking with you for all this. Every country you go to, they're like, Jews, nah, you gotta get the fuck out of here. Ugh,
Yeah.
Jews, or whatever the case, right? And he brought it the black people again too as well, because it's like, what if we did have that power? Would we be the same way? Like, we're like, this is never going to happen to us again, and we finally get our own land and everything like that. And like, we did have to drive the people that were there, like, say like the UK gave us a piece of land, like they did for the Jewish people uh after World War II, to kind of apologize about the Holocaust or whatever, and or not to apologize for it, but like, you clearly, you guys need your own land and your own protection and everything like that. And they're like, oh, we have this land right here in Palestine, but there are already people settled on it. And then, you take that land or whatever, and you're like, this is our land, because whatever the case may be. And I was just thinking, like, what if like America did that to us with like the Native Americans? They were like, yo, all right, you can have this, like, you could have North Dakota and South Dakota. That's y'all land, and the tribes that are there, fuck them. That's y'all's land, and
Yeah.
we're going to supply you weapons to keep that land safe, because the tribes keep attacking you because it was once their land. And it's like, we would probably fight like hell to keep that land too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because no one else wants us anywhere else. So
Yeah.
like, we're gonna fight like hell to do that. But then the people on the flip side of there, you're also doing the same oppression to the people that were there, to the people that are there now, that people did to you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a very complicated history. So I say all that to say, uh, I I don't understand the insane takes that he had. That one thing I don't understand, or I do understand rather. I'm sorry. My brain instantly went to like, how can you say something so asinine? How can you say all this asinine stuff? And then talking to you mid conversation, my brain flipped, because that's probably, if you can read back the text messages, Justin, you probably can see where my brain flipped. And I
Yeah.
was just like, fuck, I would have been stuck in this same loop too if I didn't pull myself. You have to think, Asmongold, and not making an excuse for him, y'all, but you have to think, he's chronically online,
Yeah.
24/7.
Oh yeah.
You have millions of dollars. I can have DoorDash to my house. I can have clothes to be delivered to my house. I can get a cleaning service. I don't have to leave my house. And newsflash, y'all, he's still living in the same house when we
Well,
started
that's
streaming.
what he does. That's his lifestyle, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's not paying a lot of money, and he has all this money coming in. So it's like, I thought about, so me and you had this conversation before this text message and stuff like that, about how we both got sucked into like rabbit holes of like racist rabbit holes, where like I was just like, fuck all white people, all other races, I'm only for black people, or whatever, and everything of that nature. And it's like, I purposely had to remove myself. And this was like in the 2010s or early 2010s, the early 2000s and stuff like that, or maybe not early 2010s, maybe like mid to early 2010s. And it's like, I had to purposely pull myself out of it, because I saw myself slowly getting consumed by that. And the
Yeah.
algorithm wasn't even like a huge deal back then. So I can only imagine today,
Wow.
when the algorithm is like almost damn near perfected,
Yeah.
and you're constantly getting fed, like, either on the left, you're getting fed left wing content, and if you're on the right, you're getting fed right wing content and stuff like that. I can understand getting sucked into that. And then, because there are people who say this stuff all the time, like they the Palestinians want to kill us, they want to take all our land, they're burning heads and cutting off babies' heads and stuff like that, and all this stuff like that. And it's like, I can understand getting sucked into that rabbit hole where you're just like, and then I also see the other side of that, where people are like, the Israeli people are just fucking ravaging the Palestinian people, which they, I mean, they are blowing up a lot of stuff, but it's just like, they don't do this, and it's like the other side of the spectrum, like, but to the extreme.
Mhm.
So I say all that to say I understand. When I listened to his apology, I was just like, whatever. But then I saw that he was like actually thinking about it. It wasn't like read off a paper. He was like actually like really thinking about this shit. He even talked to Hassan Anabi uh about it as well, who's like a popular left wing, super popular left wing streamer rather. Sorry, about this as well. And I can see him just reflecting on it in the apology. And I don't know, man. Like I don't know if it's for show or if he's really going to change or whatever, but that apology felt really sincere. In my opinion, he really was like, "This is some dark shit that I went down," and he even
Mhm.
noticed it over the past 2 years. Um,
Well, he said that he said over the past 2 years that he has become increasingly unstable and psychopathic, is the word he used.
yeah, and you know what? When I took my hiatus from Twitter for about 2 or 3 months, I noticed myself going down the same, not destructive path, but I was just in this really like doom or gloom state because like social media, especially from the left, if you're on the left side of social media, everything feels like just because you're getting like, you know, the economy's bad, the environment's bad, and they're not doing anything about it, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, how the fuck are we going to live? And it's just like, you gotta leave that shit. And I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice of not being tapped in and not being informed. But I just don't think humans were meant to be this informed because you get rants like this that easily can be in me or you. Like if we didn't have
Mm.
the wherewithal that we have
Mhm.
um today or whatever. Like both of us, I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm like both of us saw the painting on the wall where both of us were heading in our own personal journeys, and we had to like make the move to personally get out of that. Like we had to pull ourselves back and like, hey man, look what's going on. So
Yeah, so I mean, mine I guess is a little less. Mine's not as I guess as severe, but it
mhm,
centers around Trump's election in 2016.
mhm,
Is that was a very dark period for a lot of people, but it was a dark period for me mentally though, where I tried very hard to I don't know have conversations, I guess, with people who were very unstable at the time. I felt like and it kind of just led me down a it became a effort in futility where it was impossible to have a conversation that had a positive outcome, and it kind of led me to have very I guess negative viewpoints on people from the left, like with
mhm.
liberals. And I had to kind of extricate myself from Twitter at a certain point, and I really have very rarely used Twitter for years. From since then, it's been 6 7 years since I really used the platform because it was just like I like I never said or expressed anything like you know I guess bad or controversial or anything like that. Nor did I have an opinion that was like that, but it was just I didn't have I had a very I started having a very biased view of people on the left because of the way they were acting, like certain people were acting in the game sphere specifically. After Trump's election, where it became like sensationalist culture, um, and I don't know, it wasn't a positive environment. wasn't a,
Yeah,
it wasn't a productive environment either. So I just eventually had to extricate myself from it because you do get influence when you're on it all the time, and being
yeah,
like chronically online is and this is kind of what we talked about on our text thread earlier is the algorithm is going to feed your basest desires, so if you are having these thoughts and you start watching content, or reading articles that are very like I don't know, I'd say extremist or like something along those lines, the algorithm will continue to feed those things to you and double down on it for you.
yeah,
And it's your
exactly.
choice. It's your choice to continue to click on that content, but humans are not that active. in the sense that like we're very habitual creatures and we usually take the path of least resistance. So if the algorithm is feeding you something, well, I'm just gonna read, I'm just gonna watch these videos because this is what's on my feed. Oh, I can't do anything about it. It's on my feed. And it's like you have to go out of your way to find content that isn't that stuff, because that's just the way the internet is kind of built now. And many of our applications, phones, like the Google feed on your phone is extremely curated, by the algorithm, and it's based on what it thinks you want to see. Um, the good thing about Google, I will say more recently, is they allow you to remove things if you don't want to see it anymore. You can say I'm not interested in this topic. Do not show me things from this website or this topic. So you can sort of curate it yourself to a degree nowadays. There
Yeah.
is some of that. But I don't think most people are going through that effort. I
Yeah.
do.
Like,
If I see
yeah, I
articles,
was
yeah, if I see articles from a site that pisses me off consistently, I just say stop showing me shit from this fucking website. I don't want to see
yeah.
articles from them anymore. It's happened to me with like spoilers with like shows and games and stuff where they were putting spoilers in the fucking headlines, and I was losing my fucking mind. I'm like, I'm done with this shit. Like, get the shit off my phone. So all that to say that I think Asmon is kind of like a microcosm of what we're talking about, where I kind of feel like he's chronically online and he just kind of got into this cycle. And he literally says it, talks about it over the last 2 years, where he's almost like mentally degenerating. And you're kind of in these spaces and talking to people and viewing content that is kind of reinforcing this negative belief you might have about something. And like he can support Israel, like that's not, to me that's not like an indictment on him as a person.
Mhm.
uh but the way he expressed it is the problem.
Yeah,
What
that's
he
where I have a
said,
problem with it, yeah.
yeah, the way he said it was a hateful rant. Like, this was like, I literally would term it as racist. Like, he literally called them an inferior culture. Like, the wording he
Yeah.
used, he
Yeah.
he said he literally said he doesn't care that they are getting genocided, that they basically deserve it. And it's like that you if you're saying that about anything, like any culture, you kind of gone over a line.
Yeah,
Um
you can't say stuff like that. Like,
right.
you
Like,
know.
even if you're like, let's take even the most extreme culture on the planet, like North Korea. You can't say that shit about the innocent people that live in the country, man. Like,
Exactly.
it's like they don't have control over that situation. So it's like you're definitely crossing a line there, and I think Asmund quickly realized that, probably.
Yeah.
um this is one of those things for him that's like, this is like I feel like to him this is a wake up call moment in his life. And he seems to be approaching it that way, that it's like he's like, I need to change some shit about myself. I am not happy with who I am right now. And I need to be a different person. And I've had that moment in my life as well. More professionally, where I had to make changes for myself, and that was, it's a really sobering thing to have to go through.
Yeah.
And you put yourself in that situation. That's the issue. That's the reason it's so sobering, because there's no way out of it. There's no excuse. You can't blame anybody else. You can't blame your situation. You realize that it's your fault. you know,
Yep.
it's your
Yeah.
fault that you're in that situation. It's your fault that you are the person that you are, that you act the way you act. And you need to change. You need to actively make a change in that. And that is one of the hardest things any person can do. And having gone through it personally, and it sounds like you have as well, right? It's like, um it's oh, I can, that's why I believe it's sincere as well, because I recognize the signs, because I've gone through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's really seems like he's sitting there and he's like, dude, I fucked up. Like, I have really fucked up my life. That's why I said earlier, it seems like it's a mental thing for him. This isn't like, obviously he's rich and he's got tons of money, but dude, money's not like, it's not an end all be all thing. Like, he's in a position where he can fix his life fairly stress free, right? In the sense of, like, he doesn't have to worry about working. He doesn't have to work. He doesn't have to be on Twitch. But this is the thing I noted, though. is that he's coming back after the ban, directly after the ban. He said he's going to start streaming again immediately. He's going to reduce his hours a little bit, but he's going to stream immediately. He's not running away. Like he's not going to go away for 6 months and come back a different man. No, he's going to try to do this while continuing to do what is his quote unquote his day job, which that indicates to me that he's serious about this, because that's going to be way harder for him than taking a sabbatical and trying to clear his head, which he could very easily do.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. It's like the comments are fucked up. I think that's obvious to everybody, right? Like I don't think almost there's very few people who are like that. I think would be defending what he said about Palestinians.
What
So
was interesting is that when he said that in or not when he said that, but in the apology, he said like, you know, Islamic people and Arabic people and things of that nature were coming out and reaching out to him like, "Hey man, are you okay?" And let me try to help you through
I know
this.
that's insane. If
And
that's
it's
crazy.
and it's um
Wow. Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's I don't want to get into a whole nother other rant, but it's just like, yeah, man. It's just like I met if I went based off the internet, especially off the left, any religious culture, me being a leftist, are you know anybody who's not an atheist is just dumb as fuck, and they don't care about you unless you praise one of their gods or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And it's just like some of the nicest people I've met, and like some of my best friends, uh, really good people in my life are either Christians or they're Muslim or is of the Islamic faith or Muslim, and
Yeah.
it's just like um I can't say that. Like I personally just can't say that. And I think that's why I get so offended too on the flip side of this, where people were like, because even he was like in an apology saying like, he always was rebellious against religion and atheist and
Oh
everything of
yeah,
that
he's Roman
nature.
Catholic.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
they're like the most hardcore religious sect of Catholicism out there. Like they're
Yeah,
super strict on they I believe they're the ones who read the Bible like as literal as you possibly can.
yeah. So it's like, so I and like just coming from like my religious background, I understand all of this, but I understand too, like where you just want to reject everything and then you implode, and it's just a
Yeah.
crazy thing, and I don't think a lot of people actually go through that. I think a lot of people just coast it. And like you were saying, like I don't think a lot of people actually actually look inward at yourself and then face that demon, which is yourself. That's scary. Like because you have to acknowledge, like you said, you have to be accountable for everything you just did, for everything you did.
Being accountable to yourself. Like
Yeah,
it's because you know everything you do, you know? So it's
exactly.
there's no hiding from it. You can't obfuscate. You can't like hide your activity on teams or things like there's no way around it. You live with yourself. You are yourself. So you know everything that you do. So when you're truly being accountable to yourself, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcut to it. You just have to do it, straight up. And it's hard. It's extremely difficult. I know many people in my life that struggle with this. I was one of
Hmm.
them for a long time.
Yep.
I still am sometimes. Like it's not like I've 100% conquered it. I
It
never
doesn't
will.
go away. It
Yeah,
doesn't go
it's never
away.
gonna go away, dude. Like this is something I have to battle all the time. I'm in a way better place with it than I was 5 years ago. But it'll be a constant battle for the rest of my life, right? But at least this is the hard part is trying to explain to somebody that's in the part where I was 5 years ago, where they're in that
Exactly.
headspace. You
Yeah.
can't get through to them. This is something that I've tried to tell. You can't even tell them this though. Unfortunately, is the reality of the situation is, and this is a depression thing. A lot of it is
Hmm.
is this is very tied to depression, and I think Asmongold is depressed. Um, honestly, is that the person who is depressed has to be the one to get themselves out of it. No one else is going to be able to fix it for them. They can't drag them out. Medication's only going to, frankly, medication's going to dull it, and it might help you get through your days, but it's not going to fix the problem. Ultimately.
I would
Um,
say medication, what medication does, say like you're trying to get to the other end of the goal, or you're trying to take over a base in the RTS or
Mhm.
in mobile. I'm just gonna put it in video game term for people.
Yeah.
Uh, Depression is the fog of war, and the medication is like wards or vision that you can place.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you the entire vision, but you can make a path. It can make your path a lot easier to get to
Yeah.
the goal that you want to get to, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah, and it may be a tool to help you get to the point I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the ultimate solve. Like the ultimate solve is more most often going to be the person having the like philosophical epiphany to understand that they have to, whatever it is, like whatever is causing the depression or whatever in your life, like whatever situation you are in, making the effort to turn it around. If it's a thing of, like, let's just say let's take like being lazy for example, right? You have to make the effort to not be lazy. Like it's as simple as that. you know it's not simple because that's going to be a hard thing for you to do because you're not that kind of person, but it's like that's how it's just how it has to be. It's like you have to actually do the thing. It's like you got to just not be lazy, man. It's like, so it's um unfortunately there's just not a shortcut with this kind of stuff, and it just seems like he's going through that journey right now to me personally.
Yeah.
And
Eh,
yeah.
I mean, I hope he gets. I hope he actually gets like professional help as well.
Yeah, that definitely can help it along.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Um,
Like
I hope he does
therapy.
clean his room. That's the first step. I think that's the easiest step you can do is just clean the room.
Well, dude, that's what I was getting into with you. And I mean, this is a little speculative, but his mother died a few years ago.
Mm.
And that house is his mother's house.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay,
so
that
he
makes sense.
he has continued to live in that house since she passed away. And that house was in that state with her alive. And I don't know if that's necessarily because of them together, or that's just how she liked to have things. She didn't really care if things were clean or not, and he just kind of grabbed that from her. But that cleaning the house thing feels like a mental block for him, potentially
Mm.
related to his mom. I don't know. So it's like, yeah, and I think that probably is going to be a very legitimate hurdle for him. And to hear him say the words, though, I'm thinking about cleaning the house. Dude, that alone is like, that's an insane step for Asmongold, dude. Okay. This is the guy who literally makes videos about how, like, he's not necessarily proud of it, but almost acts that way, that he's like proud of how slovenly the house is. Um, it's insanity that the way he, like, I don't know. So it's like another thing I noticed in the video too, he wasn't drinking a soda. He had a water. That's
Mm.
that's a change too. It's like it's a notable thing too.
It's it's small
Um,
steps. It's
it is
it's
small
it's
stuff. It
yeah,
is small, but
yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, what he said was fucked up. But hopefully he becomes a better person out of it. You know, um, I think he didn't. He didn't. I think the other reason I think this is genuine is that he didn't waste any time. He didn't sit on this for like days, or like for like fucking weeks.
Yeah, he
And then come
immediately
out and
came
say
back and
anything.
was like, I think you know what I think happened? I think he actually watched his rant and was like, I
He
can't
did.
believe
He
this.
said he did. He said he's watched this several times, and he's like, that guy's an asshole. Like he's yeah. No, he said he watched it. So I think he's been like, I think he's been agonizing over this. Like he's like,
Cause
fuck, man. Like,
yeah, because he even stepped down from like a lot of his positions in like teams and stuff like
yes,
that.
OTK.
Yeah.
Well, OTK is his influencer organization that he started. And he's stepping down from a leadership role. He didn't make it sound like he's like permanently stepping down. It might just be temporary.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, right? Like he can do that however he wants. He doesn't have to step down permanently. So, but no, that's smart too, right? Like, but that's my point about the streaming thing, right? He's not stepping down from streaming. He's stepping down from some of the other responsibilities he has. Those things that maybe make it overwhelming for him to take the time to improve himself. So I don't know. It's just that those two things in concert are notable to me as well. So sorry, go ahead. Do you have something else you want to say?
Oh no, I was gonna. I was gonna that was like my thing moving, but no, I was gonna say like I think in general streamers are having like this kind of epiphany that they are way bigger than what they know they are. Um,
I was thinking about this when he was doing it. Because somebody in a lot of people in the comments were making jokes about like, dude, the Asmon cleaning his room stream will be the biggest stream Twitch has ever had, or something like that.
mhm.
And I was sitting there like, though, dude, imagine if he does that stream and he's literally like cleaning stuff up, and then he's occasionally interacting with the camera. And I'm sitting there thinking about like visualizing that picture in my head of him like picking up a shirt and being like, oh, hey chat, look at this shirt. Oh, this shirt's from like fucking 2008 or something. And he tells some story about it or something. And then I'm sitting there like visualizing his room, and it's literally just a computer on the wall, like a desk against the wall with a computer with a fucking camera. And he's literally talking to the camera. Like, dude, you don't think about like what a streamer is actually looking at when they're streaming. They're literally looking at a camera, dude. Like, it's like how like not dehumanizing, I don't know how to say it, but it's like it's not natural. This isn't an organic interaction, that you're having with people. There are people on the other side watching you, but it's like you literally can't see them. You're
It
yeah,
is a
it's
it's I don't know what it is. It's not a spectacle. It's something, and it's like uh I was watching one of these other streamers, Kaisenet. He went out and like, bro, like these 12-year-olds were like emulating everything he did and all this stuff like that. And he immediately told them to uninstall Twitch. He's like, "Don't watch me again." And they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Don't watch me again. Please go home, go outside, do this and then do that, whatever." And I mean, he kind of changed his content a little bit after that, but like it's still what he does. But I think he does a little bit more responsibly now after that
well,
encounter because
isn't
he
that
was
when
doing.
he started getting into games after that, didn't he?
Yeah, he started getting to the games and
Yeah.
he started but he did like a real life stream where he was like walking around talking to people and everything or whatever and like, doing little pop-ups or whatever. Him and I Show Speed, they were doing the same thing. I Show Speed,
Mm.
he was like a menace, bro. Oh my god, his
That
his content.
motherfucker, bro.
And then like
Yeah.
he and
Oh
then he
man.
he did a complete 180. Like I was just like,
Really?
yeah, man. Like a lot of his streaming, he still has some of the little of the antics, but they're not as extreme. He realized real quick like what the fuck was going on, and
Yeah.
everything like that. And
Oh, because I've seen some videos from him that literally like I couldn't finish. Like he was
yeah,
so
yeah, it was that bad.
like
Yeah,
vile stuff, dude. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he like a lot of these people are realizing like these are actual real people and children that are watching these streams. They're
Well,
not.
you're influencing them.
Yeah. That's where the whole term influencer comes from, and it's like I don't think excuse me. I just don't think a lot of people are thinking what it means to actually be an influencer and who your audience is. I think people when they become an influencer, they're thinking like, oh, it's going to be people a little bit younger than me. Like if I'm a 25-year-old influencer, I may be
Right.
influencing like 20-year-olds or 23-year-olds
Right.
or whatever the case.
Right.
No, you're influencing like 12, 16, 18-year-olds or something like that.
Definitely, dude. I mean, think about when we were teenagers, dude. We definitely had like I know I had like celebrity like people that were like, I don't know, idols of mine or what I
Yeah,
considered a
same.
role model or something. Like, of course, like what do you think you're watching? Like, what do they think you're watching? Like there are not a lot of 13-year-old influencers out there that other 13-year-olds are gonna watch. Um, so it's like, of course they're gonna glob on to like adults, certain types of adults, especially on Twitch. So it's like, I don't know, man. That's the thing with like that's the whole point about Doctor Disrespect that we were making a few weeks ago, dude. Is
Yeah.
like this is why we don't want him really on the platform or really being an influencer at all, because whatever gradient you want to put on what he did, if it's maybe at the very low end of the predator scale, it's still on the scale a little bit. And it's like, so you don't want that person influencing children. In a personality like his, children are gonna certain types of children are going to gravitate towards, especially with the way his character is and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, that it's like, I like, you know, I wish he didn't make the comments like Asmon, obviously, but it almost feels like it was necessary for him. Like, I'm kind of intrigued to see how he grows, because he even talked about, and this is really interesting, is streaming less, and he actually wants to make his own original content again. You know, and
Mhm.
that, I don't think he's done that in, I don't even know how long. Like, he's been basically a gaming slash react streamer for fucking half a decade at this point, or
Well,
more.
I will say I like when he was more so just streaming, even if it
Yeah,
wasn't his original content. I like when he was just like the World of Warcraft streamer or whatever the case
yeah,
may be. I like
yeah,
that content. I enjoyed
dude.
that content a lot more,
Yeah.
and I really started getting turned off by him when he started making more, like, I don't want to say political reactionary content for video games, but he started diving into that realm, like reading articles and the
Well, dude, React
DEI.
content is, I don't I don't hate it. Like, I don't necessarily think it shouldn't exist, but man, it's too prevalent. It's become too
Yeah,
prevalent.
yeah, it
It's
needs to.
seriously, it's such an easy, lazy way to stream. And I'm not saying you can't do it at all, right? But it shouldn't be like, because dude, if you go to Asmon's YouTube, his Asmongold TV channel,
Mm.
like, all the clips are him reacting to things. There's almost no clips of him actually playing a video game. It's like, and that's what he's famous for, you know? So I actually think that's part of the problem too, is a lot of a lot of streamers are just going towards React content. And again, I don't think React content is inherently bad, but it's like it's kind of almost like a drug, in
Yeah,
moderation, it might be okay, but it's like they get addicted to it and then they become an addict, and it's like, it's a problem at that point.
well,
And it's happened to many of these guys.
it's also a double-edged sword too, right? Because the algorithm favors React content. So if
Yeah.
you make React
True.
content, I'm pretty sure, like, if he probably looked at his numbers or whatever, him and his team looked at the numbers and are like, I mean, your streaming numbers do well, bro, but when you post React content, even if it's like a 7 to 5 minute React content, it does triple what your streams do when
Yeah.
you're just playing World of Warcraft stuff or whatever video game you're playing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think
Well,
that's
yeah,
pretty
but
crazy.
it's only true though because they're doing the React content, right? Like, these guys have the power to change the algorithm. If enough of them were to switch off of React content, well, then suddenly React content might not be so popular. Like like a guy like Asmongold, as popular as he has the weight, I would say, to change the direction of things with what he decides to do with the content he puts out. Like, he has that kind of influence, in my opinion. And um that's the thing. It's almost like a lead by example type thing. Like, if he starts doing his own original content again and stops doing React content as much and is playing games more, that might start swinging the algorithm a little bit, and then other people might start following his lead, in that regard, and start making their own original content again, and streaming games, and not doing as much React content, which then eventually the algorithm would change, because that's not what's in demand anymore. React content's not what's in demand. 'Cause
Yeah,
so
I I agree because I'm actually over the whole React content thing, and when people do original stuff, and then someone else is like, "Oh, we're gonna react to it," and it's just like, I mean, I guess it's like sometimes it's funny to see how other people react to it. Like, man, I wonder if they react to the way I reacted to it or whatever. Um,
that's
but
happened. I've seen plenty of those. Yeah.
yeah, but it's just like,
Reactception.
yeah, and it's just like you said, like, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with reaction content. I just think it's way too much. It's
Well,
almost like
it's the lowest form of content though.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's the easiest to do, and it takes very little effort to actually put it out. Um
Well, I hate when
frankly,
the react content gets
yeah.
more than the original post. That's what
Yeah.
I hate. I
Which
don't
is
like that.
common though. If Asmongold reacted to one of our podcasts, right? Um, like obviously he's gonna get more views than our podcast, right?
Yeah,
But
obviously, yeah.
it would drive a shitload of traffic to us suddenly, right? And it would be huge for us. And I'm not going to sit here and say, Asmon, please react to one of our podcasts, right? I'm not going to say we're probably not going to have a problem with it, right? Because it would positively benefit us. But to your point, though, I mean that's extremely common. Anything Asmongold reacts to probably gets more views than what the original video is.
Yeah,
Like
and like I
almost
said, like
guaranteed.
so it's a real weird uh symbiotic relationship that happens on YouTube. And I think YouTube kind of created it itself. They really got away from original content that people were making. Because maybe some of it was too edgy or whatever. Um, and they really went ad friendly. And reaction content is ad friendly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the ads. So
Right.
I don't know, man. But just getting back to like Asmongold, I think this is one of the rare instances where I think this streamer this apology was sincere. It wasn't like the textbook, Twitter apology where somebody like has their own little, notebook or whatever, like they do on like how they delay a game or something like that or whatever.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was sincere. This wasn't like uh Dr. Disrespect's
Yeah.
apology, quote unquote,
Right.
and everything
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's gonna lose fans over this because I feel like
Definitely.
I feel like a lot of fans are gonna be like, "You're weak. Why are you giving in to them? You're giving in to the woke left or the woke mob." And it's like,
You know
nah,
what
man,
though?
he's just trying to
That's
change, man.
no, but dude, like to be a little hardcore about it, like it's almost what he deserves though. Like he created those people, like you know,
True, yeah.
like and he even said that in the video. He's like almost viewing this situation and him cleaning his house and stuff like that. He's like viewing it as penance. Like it's like he needs to pay a price in his head for it. And yeah, if he loses a shitload of fans, like and it's people like that, if he's truly going to grow, then he's going to say, you know what, I don't want people on that like that in my audience anyways. Like this isn't the place we're trying to build. Um and to be honest, I'm actually intrigued. Like, what does original Asmongold content look like? If he makes like a actual like scripted YouTube video or something like that, like what does that look like? I don't even know. You know, he's never been that kind of content creator, really, as far as I know. So it'd be kind of interesting because I don't know what is he capable of. Like, what could he put out there? I mean, he certainly has a lot of resources at his disposal. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, I mean, it's like I hope he figures his shit out. Um, I think it would be a positive if he comes out of this a different person, for sure. What he said was wrong, clearly, and yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say about it, I guess.
Alrighty, man.
Fair enough, Montrell. All right. We're going to get out of here before the 3-hour mark. All right, everybody. If you like this episode, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap4the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNut01, and the show is at the Player's Stake. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.